Planning Board. The Planning Board members that are here today are John Sullivan, Chris Rupert, Jorge Sotolongo, Patrick Morris, Vice Chair, and I'm Michael Pate, Chairman. Members of the city staff that are in attendance today are David Fanslaw, Planning Director, Eric England, Assistant Planning Director, Mike Carter, Current Planning Manager, Jennifer Taylor of the City Law Department, and Kathy Epperson, our Recording Secretary. Our rules of procedure are as follows. Notice of this hearing has been published, and copies of today's agenda are located in the table in front of us. You're certainly welcome to come down and pick one up. Those cases that are on consent agenda will be heard first. Consent cases have been recommended for layover, have already been heard, or are perceived by the Planning Board to be non-controversial. Therefore, they will be read and voted on without the opportunity for you to state your opinion on the case. If you wish to have this case discussed during the hearing, you may remove the case from the consent agenda. To do so, when each case is read, I will ask if anyone wants the case removed for discussion. If you do, please stand up and say so, and the case will be removed. This case will then be heard after we vote on the cases that remained on consent. When the case is heard, you will have the opportunity to come to the podium, clearly state your name and address, and give your testimony at that time. When hearing cases on the regular agenda, the board will first hear from the applicant, and after the applicant states their case, we will hear from the proponents, and then we will hear from the opponents. After both sides are heard, the public hearing will be closed and no additional testimony will be permitted unless a board member requests additional information. When at the podium, please clearly state your name, address, and whom you are here representing for the record. Your testimony is very important to us. In the interest of time and courtesy to the others, please be short and to the point. We will try to limit each case to 10 minutes. Those directly involved in the case, please speak first. We request that large groups select a spokesperson to represent that group, therefore eliminating any repetitive testimony. When giving testimony, please provide new information and try not to repeat what has previously been said. We do ask that all speakers and others be treated with courtesy and with respect. In that regard, please remain silent while seated, and please turn off your cell phones. Our decision to approve, deny, or continue a case made here today will be forwarded on to the City Council for another public hearing and final disposition by the City Council. Conditional use permits are an exception to this rule. The board's decision made here today on conditional use permits are final and not forwarded on to City Council. Lastly, upon the advice of the Law Department, all communications to the board members from attorneys or other interested parties should be transmitted through the Planning Department so that they are made part of the public record. The department will then transmit all that information to the board as well as to the rest of the public. A current copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act can be found in the white binder in this room. I do not have any changes to the consent agenda today, so I'll read those cases first. And again, if you want any of these cases as I start reading on consent for either approval or layover to be heard, please raise your hand and we'll remove those from consent and then they'll be heard, okay? So the first, I'm going to first read the cases that are on consent for approval. And the first is I'm going to take item 1 and 15 together, but I'll read them separately. Item 1 is case C3-26117. The applicant is Stephen Center, Inc. It's on consent for approval. And the request is approval of an amendment to the future land use element of the city's master plan from high-density residential to industrial. The location is 2715 and 2723 Q Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next item is item 4, case C3-26133. Applicant is Planning Department on behalf of the City of Omaha. It's on consent for approval. The request is approval of the disposition of city-owned property, which is located at 1719, 1717, and 1715 Charles Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next is item 6, case C3-26135. The applicant is Planning Department on behalf of the City of Omaha. It's on consent for approval. The request is approval of the disposition of city-owned property located at 5026 South 19th Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next is item 10, case C1226-111. Applicant is Sparking Development, LLC. It's on consent for approval. The request is preliminary and final plat approval of Kuntz Place replat 16, a minor plat inside city limits. The location is 2219 Lothrop Street. Anyone like to have this? You would. You want to hear this on the? Okay, then I'll take it off consent, and then you'll have a chance to come up and testify, okay? Next is item 11.
So before we move on, we will also remove number 21 that's related to that case.
Thank you, Eric. Item 10 and 21 will be removed. Thank you, Eric. Next is item 11, case C-1226-114. Applicant is Rainwood Reliability Project LLC. It's on consent for approval. The request is preliminary plat approval of Rainwood, a subdivision outside city limits, with approval of a waiver to the PDZ present development zone. The location is southwest of 138th Street and Bennington Road. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next is item 12, KC 1026-119, KC 1226-120. The applicant is Cedarhurst of Omaha Real Estate, LLC. It's on consent for approval. Request is preliminary and final plat approval of Cedarhurst of Omaha, a minor plat outside city limits with rezoning from AG to R5 and expansion of the MCC overlay district. Location is northeast of 168th Street and Grand Avenue. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next is item 14, case C-1099-132. Applicant is MCTC Omaha, Nebraska, Omaha NE LLC, on consent for approval. The request is approval of a major amendment to the mixed-use development agreement for Center Ridge. The location is 19330 Gold Street. Would anyone like to have this one removed? Next is item 15, which is related to item 1. So case C-1026-115. The applicant in C-726-116. The applicant is Stevens Center, Inc. It's on consent for approval. The request is approval of the rezoning from R7 to GI with approval of a conditional use permit to allow a non-commercial day shelter in the GI district, along with the repeal of the MCC overlay and expansion of the ACI overlay district. Location is 2715 and 2723 Q Street. Would anyone like to have this one removed? Next is item 18, KC 1026-126. Applicant is Habitat for Humanity of Omaha. On consent for approval, request is rezoning from R5 and R7 to R5. Location is 2924 North 24th Street and 2411 and a half Binney Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? You do? Okay. Then we'll take that off consent, and this will be heard. Next is item 19, case C-1026-127. Applicant is Jaro Wildebrand. It's on consent for approval. Request is rezoning from R3 to R5, and the location is 5228 Ames Avenue. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next is item 20, case C-1026-130. Applicant is Jason Jura. On consent for approval. Request is rezoning from DR to R4. Location is 6024 P Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next is item 21, case... What's that? Oh, 21 we pulled off. Yep, thank you. Thank you. Next is item 22, case C-1026-129. Applicant is Edgar Messias. On consent for approval, the request is approval of the MCC Major Commercial Corridor Overlay District. Location is 4801 Q Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next is item 24, case C-826-113. The applicant is Irvington Road 75 LLC, on consent for approval. The request is approval of a special use permit to allow indoor sports and recreation in the GI district. The location is 7405 Irvington Road. Would anyone like to have this removed? Next is item 25, case C-826-118. Applicant is Cedarhurst of Omaha Real Estate, LLC. It's on consent for approval. The request is approval of a special use permit to allow assisted living in the R5 district. The location is northeast of 168th Street and Grand Avenue. Would anyone like to have this one removed? We're getting there. Next is item 26, case C-726-128. Applicant is Christian Christensen. On consent for approval, the request is approval of a major amendment to the presumed conditional use permit pursuant to section 55883Q to allow surface parking in a CBD, Central Business District. The property is located within an NCA overlay district. The location is north of 14th Street and Millwork Avenue. Would anyone like to have this removed? And our last case on for consent approval is case item 27, case C14-26-131. Applicant is the property owner, and it's on consent for approval. The request is approval of the vacation of east-west alley west of 20th Street to its western terminus between Harney Street and Farnham Street. Would anyone like to have this removed? Okay, that concludes the items that are on consent for approval. I'll now read, we have two cases on consent for layover. I'll read those two cases as well, and then we'll vote on those cases as well. So the first one on consent for layover is item 13, case C1026-123, C1226-124. Applicant is John Daly, Jr. It's on consent for layover. Request is preliminary plat approval of Cunningham View, a subdivision outside city limits with rezoning from DR to R5 and R6. The location is southwest of 78th and State Streets. Would anyone like to have this removed? The next one is item 5, case on for layover. Item 5, case C3-26-134. The applicant is Planning Department on behalf of the City of Omaha. On consent for layover, request is approval of disposition of city-owned property. The location is parcel number 252087000 northeast of 39th and Marcy. Would anyone like to have this removed? Okay. That concludes our consent agenda items. We had a couple of cases removed from the consent approval cases, so I would need a motion to for approval of the cases that remained on consent for approval.
A motion to approve agenda items number 1, 4, 6, 11, 12, 14, 15, 19, 20, 22, 24, 25, 26, and 27.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Morris,
Yes.
Sotolongo,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Rupert,
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
approved 5-0.
Thank you. And then we have the two cases that are on consent for layover. I'd entertain a motion for those cases.
Motion to lay over agenda items number 13 and 5.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sotolongo,
Yes.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Rupert,
Yes.
Morris,
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
approved 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, those cases that are on consent for approval or layover that have been voted on have already been completed, so you're free to stay, but you're certainly welcome to leave as well. So if you're here for one of those cases, you're certainly welcome to leave if you'd like. All right, so there were a couple cases taken off of consent. The first one was item 10, and along with that, item 21, so those two will be taken together. And I'll read item 10 first and then 21. So item 10 is case C12-26-111. Applicant is Sparking Development LLC. It was on consent for approval. The request is preliminary and final plat approval of Kuntz Place replat 16, a minor plat inside city limits. The location is 2219 Lothrop Street. And then item number 21 is case C11-26-112. Again, the applicant Sparking Development LLC on consent for approval. And this request is approval of the PUR, Planned Unit Redevelopment Overlay District, again, location 2219 Lothrop Street. So those will be heard in public testimony. So is the applicant here? Please come forward. And again, when you come to the podium, please leave your name and address for the record. We're first going to hear from the applicant, ma'am, okay? We're first going to hear from the applicant, and then we'll give you a chance to testify as well.
Hi, Akedra Hagans. My address is 5513 North 163rd Street, Omaha, Nebraska, 68116. I am a local realtor and emerging developer working with Sparking Development LLC, and I'm here to answer any questions and provide any information that is needed.
Okay, great, thank you.
Do I need to say anything further?
You're good for now, anyway, okay. And is there any, are there any, I'm sorry,
Go ahead.
are there any other proponents, people that are in favor of this that wish to testify? Please come forward. Your name and address, please.
Yeah, hi, I'm Zeke Rouse. I'm a policy fellow with Spark, 111 12th Street, Suite 211, Omaha, Nebraska, 68102. This project is part of our co-development initiative where we train local emerging developers. This project is between Akedra Hagens and Jewel Rogers. And we obviously support this project and believe Omaha should be encouraging this project as it supports emerging developers with deep ties to the North Omaha community. This project is backed by financing from Spark Capital, and they plan on selling it for sale through the middle income workforce housing. The homes are designed to be accessible, which include ground floor zero entry that can accommodate older adults, people with mobility challenges. And the project is activating a vacant lot directly across from Lothrop Elementary, so we hope it brings new investment to the neighborhood. The PUR is also needed to address certain setback waivers, but those are pretty consistent with the character of the block. One of the requested waivers is also for parking. Previously, the planning board has already approved the one-to-one parking requirement, but that hasn't yet been adopted by city council. But we encourage your approval and also here for any questions.
Thank you. Are there any other proponents that wish to speak on this case? Seeing none, are there any opponents? So, ma'am?
Hi, Danielle Woods, 2215 Lothrop Street. So I really have questions for them since y'all right there. So what do y'all plan on doing with the property on
We'll
22?
bring you talk to us if you would,
Okay,
please. Then
I
we'll bring
want to
them up to
know
answer any
what
questions that you might
exactly
have.
they're gonna do to the property at 2219 Lothrop Street, because that's right next door to me. And that's a historical house. It been there. Everybody that's on that block of 2200 and Lothrop Street across the street from the school, we've all lived there for decades, generations. So, I mean, everybody on that block is in agreement that we do not want that property tore down. That belonged to Mr. and Mrs. Jones. And back to the mayor naming that street after himself because he has historical connections to it. I don't think that he would really approve of it being commercialized as well. And so now can I get answers from them on what they plan on doing with
I'll
that
bring
property?
them back up after we hear from anybody else that wants to speak.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll have them put up a site plan on the screen so that we can help see the proposal as well.
Okay, well, in shorter words, we don't want it. The whole block doesn't want it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, are there any other opponents that wish to come forward and speak? Seeing none, I'll bring the applicant back up and address the questions that were raised.
Ms. Higgins, do you have a copy of the site plan that you can show, or do you need one
I
from
do
us?
not have a copy.
Okay. I will give you mine so we can put it up on the screen. Thanks, Mike.
I did want to say that 2219 Lothrop Street is a vacant lot, and there is no current property on our lot. So she may be confused about which site we're speaking on. It is a vacant lot that we plan to build 2 townhomes that will be for sale. And with that, we will have 2 homeowners that would be able to own their own home and the land that's under it, which is why we're subdividing it.
And it looks like you have, obviously the frontage is on Lothrop there on the north, but the vehicular access will come off of the alley to the east of the new units, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Anything else you'd like to add? Pretty much it.
I don't know if I addressed her concerns or not.
Well, what I'd encourage you to do is after the meeting or sometime, maybe just get together and discuss about exactly what you plan to do.
Yes, we did perform some community engagement, and We did knock on doors and provided some information about our development. Your face looks familiar, so I feel like we did come to you. But we are open to answer any questions and address any concerns that you may have for the development. But overall, we feel like this project will be good for the community because we're allowing an opportunity for home ownership when rental properties is pushed. It's important for us to be able to own our own homes as well. So I'm available for any questions after this.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, I'll close the public hearing again. I just encourage you guys to get together and just chat if you would, okay? Maybe switch each other's name and address when you get outside. Okay, thank you. So I close the public hearing. So first we'll take on case number 10. And so Eric, what's your recommendation?
Yeah, so this is the plating component. The city recommends approval of the,
Ma'am, please any conversation you have, please carry outside the hall here. Thank you.
sure, staff recommends approval of the preliminary plat subject to the 5 conditions in the report and approval of the final plat subject to submittal and acceptable final subdivision agreement if necessary prior to city council.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the preliminary plat subject to the 5 conditions in the recommendation report and approval of the final plat, subject to the conditions of preliminary plat approval and submittal of an acceptable final subdivision agreement prior to forwarding the request to city council.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo? Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Approved 5-0.
thank you.
Regarding agenda item 21, this is the PUR, the Planned Unit Redevelopment Overlay District, that's related to the project that modifies a few of the zoning regulators. Staff recommends approval of a PUR overlay district, subject to submittal of acceptable revised PUR plans prior to forwarding to City Council.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? If not, do I have a motion? Don't be shy.
Motion for approval of the PUR overlay district, subject to submitting acceptable final PUR development plans prior to forwarding the request to city council.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Rupert? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
Approved 5-0.
thank you. And I think we had one more taken off. That was item 18. That was case C1026-126. The applicant is Habitat for Humanity of Omaha. It was on consent for approval. The request is rezoning from R5 and R7 to R5. The location is 2924 North 24th Street and 2411 and a half Binney Street. Is the applicant here? No. Are you the applicant? You're the applicant? Okay. You want to take it off of, okay, so please come forward then, and if you would, just give your name and address, and
Are you opposed?
are you opposed, or?
We're opposed.
Oh,
Oh, you're,
okay, just wait a
you're not the
second.
applicant then, right?
You're fine.
Okay. So with that, the applicant's not here. Are there any proponents that wish to speak on it? Anybody that's in favor of this? Okay, seeing none, are you in favor of it? I am. Please come forward then, if you would. And provide her name and address for us, please.
My name is Elaine Heath, Heath. I live at 2417 North 92nd Avenue, apartment 18, 68134. And I work for Habitat for Humanity of Omaha, and I've worked there for 25 years part-time. My niece is the executive director, Amanda Brewer. And I happen to be in this room for another purpose. But I want to say I know those people. I know the Habitat people, and I know their hearts. And when we apply, we are asking for something that will help people and help them find homes. So I cannot speak directly on this topic, but I know Habitat does so much for so many people. I've seen it over and over, or I would not be there for 25 years, and I am 80 years old.
Very good. Thank you.
Thanks.
Are there any other proponents that wish to speak? Are you a proponent?
No, so there's no one here to represent that, the project?
no one, the applicant is not here. No one from Habitat is here. Okay, so with that, are there any opponents then that wish to speak? Okay, please come forward, and if you would, enter your name and address for the record.
We have a handheld mic, sir.
There you go.
There you go.
Hello, hello, hello. All right, so this is Beulah Pope at 2909 North 25th Street. Oh,
Okay. And
this is my grandson. Tell your name.
I'm Frayville Pope, and the family house resides at 2909 North 25th Street. Me and my grandmother, we already have something prepared. This is in her name, so I'm just going to go ahead and read it, read her statement. I can read it up there, too, if need be.
Sure, please,
Okay.
please come. Yeah. Do it.
Hello. My name is Beulah Pope. That's her name. I'm Frayville Pope. We live at 2909 North 25th Street, and the adjacent properties being 2910, 2426, and 2906 as well. So this is a letter from her point of view. I am 91 years of age. Sorry. To the Omaha Planning Board. My name is Beulah Pope, and I live at 2909 North 25th Street. I also own the neighboring properties at 2906 and 2910 and 2426 North 25th Street as well. I am 91 years of age and have been a longtime resident and property owner in North Omaha. For many years, I've cared for my home and surrounding properties and have remained committed to this neighborhood through both its challenges and successes. My family has invested in this community and has worked to preserve and improve the area for future generations. I oppose the proposed rezoning and development associated with KC 10-26-126. My home at 2909 has experienced basement flooding in the past, and I'm concerned that adding a new residence, driveway, and other hard surfaces could increase runoff and worsen existing drainage problems affecting my property. With those past issues in mind, that makes me concerned about any new development and its impact. Before this project moves forward, I believe neighboring property owners deserve clear information regarding how drainage will be managed and what measures will be taken to ensure that existing flooding problems are not made worse. I am also concerned about the impact this project may have on the future development potential of my adjacent properties for my family, as well as the effect on privacy and enjoyment of my home, as I have spent almost 7 decades in the area. I'm here because this particular project raises concerns about flooding, privacy, and future planning of the property surrounding my home. As a 91-year-old resident, I worry about the disruption and the construction activity that would create, I also worry about the disruption that construction activity would create immediately adjacent to my property. I believe neighboring property owners deserve clear answers, site compatibility, and long-term impact this project may have on surrounding landowners. I respectfully ask the Planning Board to carefully consider these concerns before approving this request. Thank you for your consideration. Beulah Pope.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Are you an opponent? Okay, please come forward.
Well, I think who wants to say something?
Oh, Beulah, are you going to say something?
Can I say?
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
There's an address wrong that is not, is wrong that you might have. And that's on Benny Street. Huh? Oh, well, that been occupied by, what is it? The lady that says that, no, well, that's occupied. That been sold years ago to the handicap, or one of the communities that the lady that was 80 years old was talking about.
Yes, Grandma, that's where they
Huh?
they just talking about where they want to build at. They talking about where they want to build at, Mom.
Oh, where they want to? I know, but I'm letting them know that the one on Benny Street has it been a house been on that for a long time. You had that in my uh, in the city planning letter that you sent, right?
And we'll talk about that.
That's not what you're talking about? Okay, well, okay, I'm sorry.
You're
I
fine.
am very confused. I'm 91 years
That's
old, so.
quite all right. Thanks for being here.
That my grandson is actually my grandson. Huh?
You've given property for the community development before.
And yes, I have given property to the Habitat before.
Yeah.
So, but in the back, my back runs all the way to where the people want to build a house or whatever they want to claim. It would interfere with me coming from 24th to my garage. Okay.
Thank you, Beulah.
Thank you.
All right. And then any other opponents, please?
Yeah. Listen, I'm not against or
You
for
need
it.
your name and address, please.
Justin Young, 1218 Isra Street. My business is Coach House, 3014 of 24th Street. I'm not for or against it. I came down to understand more about the project as I own property right across the street from where they want to develop at. So I just want to know more about the project.
Letter sent out.
That's it.
Thanks,
Okay.
Justin.
Thank you, Justin. Okay. Yeah. Are there any other opponents? Okay.
Hello, I'm Letitia McCants Young.
I'm sorry, your first name again?
Letitia McCants Young. I'm here on behalf of Beulah Pope at 2909 North 25th Street. Ms. Pope has worked for the state of Nebraska as a caseworker. Ms. Pope has built herself up around this neighborhood. 24th Street is her pride and joy, from the Native Omaha Club to parades to giving her contribution back to her community. I have been around when she sold the property. What she was trying to say is she sold that property. That property is no longer hers. She gave that property to Habitat for Humanity. So she served her purpose. She's given back to the community, and it's now time for her to be in peace. And so where you guys want to develop it at is just directly in her own backyard. And so I think because of her hard work, because of her communication to the community, her neighbor is opposed to it. There's only there's more than two homeowners around that neighborhood, but none of the homeowners, especially the one directly to her, they do not want anything built in their backyard. And I think she has earned that right to not to have anything in her backyard. I think she has worked hard to build up her legacy, and I think she needs to leave it for her family. And so I am opposed to.
Let me ask you a
that.
question
Yes.
real quick. So I just want to make sure I understand. So at one time, she owned that property
Yes.
and then sold it to Habitat.
Yes.
So what? Maybe you don't know, but what do you think
I'm saying she didn't have to sell it to Habitat for Humanity. I'm saying she gave back to the community as well. And so I'm just saying that was her contribution back to the same people that are trying to build in her backyard.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I think it's, fair exchange is no robbery. I think her contribution to Habitat for Humanity, though, for those years, I think her contribution to the state of Nebraska as a state worker will allow her to keep her property intact. And she's had several years of flooding in her basement. The city has been out several times. She has paid out of her own pocket. And so it's just been a whole haphazard situation. She's getting older in age, and she doesn't need the disruption. Like I said, she's older. She's earned a right for her peace, and so we would like to keep it that way. Thank you.
What was the intent when she sold the property to Habitat? What did she think was going to happen? 'Cause I guess I'm confused
Well,
on
she
what
said there's 3 properties listed that she owns. And the one property that she was trying to she said it's still listed. She no longer owns that property.
Okay.
Now, which property specifically, I'm not sure which one
Okay.
that is. The one on 2411 Benny? 2411 and a half Benny. So she's pretty much owned the whole block at one time.
I see.
But she's also given back to the city at another time. And so I'm just asking that the city does the same thing for her, because she has there's a vacant lot right across the street from her house. Why do we want to build in her backyard? And the house that she owned before it burned down, so it's no longer, but it's still a vacant property there. I'm not trying to take anything away from Habitat for Humanity. I appreciate I appreciate what they do for the community, but I also need you to appreciate what Ms. Beulah Pope has done for the community as well, and just respect her wishes.
Has there been any outreach or communication from Habitat to the neighbors about what they're in? Because it sounds like there's just a lot of questions about what their plan is to do, right?
The plan is they don't want it built in their backyard. They don't want their backyard disrupted to build a house and there's directly across the street, there's lots. And so, it's kind of squeezing it in, and it's already a congested area. And so it's just making it more congested. And like I said, you're building in her backyard. And so I think with her being the property owner, she has the right to say if she doesn't want it built in her backyard.
Got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Irene, is it Irene or Eileen? Would you please come forward again? I know you're not here necessarily on this case, but you're familiar with
I know who to
Habitat.
talk to on that. I know the
Ma'am,
person.
let me finish what I'm going to ask.
Sorry.
You, okay? So even though you're not here related, you're familiar with Habitat. What I would suggest you go do is go back to Amanda and you talk to her and get in communication with these fine people and talk about what they're planning to do, and the other gentleman as well that had some questions. He's got a business across the street. So I would encourage you to go to Amanda and just ask her to do that for us, please.
We will. I will, definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
One contact person would be Dan Brewer, Brewer, and he's the purchaser. He deals with the property.
Okay.
If you maybe exchange with Trey Bell and.
Yeah. Okay. With that, I'm going to close the public hearing on that. Eric, please.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a quick moment to show the site plan just for the benefit of those who came down today. Eric England, Planning Department. So I'm not here on behalf of Habitat. Obviously, I'm here on behalf of the city, but I just wanted to make sure everyone know what the request is. So here's the subject site. There's actually two parcels. These two parcels have different zoning. So the area, this eastern, from the white dash line to 24th Street is currently zoned R7. This back piece, which I believe is the piece that was owned by Beulah in the past, is zoned R5. They are consolidating the zoning to one zoning district so that they can build one single family house, and their site plan shows that house basically closer to 24th Street. They don't show any improvements on the back. I can't guarantee that they wouldn't ever build a shed or a detached garage, but I just wanted to make sure their proposal where the house is shown. So
Yeah.
that's all I wanted to
Thanks for clarifying.
represent.
Eric.
Trey Bell has a question.
I closed it. I closed the public. So Eric,
So with that being said, the request, as I said, the zoning has to be one zoning district for a site in order for them to get a single-family home building permit. Theoretically, they could build on the eastern R7 piece right now for the single-family lot, but they're obviously wanting to incorporate all the land that they own. It is compliant with the master plan. We obviously encourage coordination. This will still need to go to city council, but it's compliant with the master plan. Staff recommends approval.
thank you, Eric. Okay. Any questions? Do I have a motion?
Motion for approval.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Rupert. Yes. Morris,
Yes.
Sotolongo.
Yes.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
approved 5-0.
Thank you. Okay. Encourage you to just communicate with each other, and I'm sure you'll get satisfactory answers with that, okay? All right, that concludes all of our cases that were on consent, that were taken off of consent. I'll now move into the public hearing on the regular agenda items that are here. So the first one is, there's actually three related cases to this. The first one is item 2, and then we also have 8 and 16. So item 2 is case C326. Applicant is Foundations Development LLC. The request is approval of an amendment to the future land use development of the city's master plan from high-density residential to office commercial. The location is 1059 Park Avenue. Number 8 is case C326-137. The applicant is Planning Department on behalf of the city of Omaha, and the request is approval of the 1053 Park TIF redevelopment plan. Location is also 1059 Park Avenue. And item 16 is case C1026-121. The request is rezoning from R7 to NBD with expansion of the ACI overlay districts. Location also 1059 Park Avenue. So we'll take those in order, but we can take them together, actually, because we're going to vote on them separately. But is the applicant here, please?
Hi, Rob Woodling, Foundations Development, 1886 South 126th Street, Omaha, Nebraska, 68144. What we're looking to do is an affordable housing project for seniors. It's on the northeast corner of Pacific Street and Park Avenue. This is a former site of a condemned home that was torn down by the city a while back, and so we're going to try and take this unproductive asset and build it into affordable housing. We'll have 50 units, and we'll also have an underground parking stall with, I believe, 27 parking stalls in that. We do senior affordable housing. We have hundreds of units throughout Omaha, and we typically don't even have a 1-to-1 parking ratio. We have so many seniors that just no longer drive. So we feel like our parking is adequate. So we have the support of the Nebraska Investment Finance Authority with low-income housing tax credits, the Department of Economic Development with home funds, and also philanthropy with Front Porch Investments. So be more than happy to answer any questions you may have.
What do your rental rates be?
So the rents, 10% of our units will be targeted to people at 40% of the area median income, which is roughly $750. And then we'll also have some units targeted. The rest of the units will be targeted at 50% AMI, which is around a $950 rent.
1 bedroom, 2 bedroom?
1 bedrooms.
1 bedroom all?
Yep.
All? Okay.
Yep.
Great, thank you.
Welcome.
Are there any other proponents? See none, are there any? You, oh, Don, okay, Don.
Oh, yeah, good afternoon, Don Seaton, City Planning. This is a TIF project, and I'll address primarily the TIF aspect of this. I believe Mr. Woodling did a good job of describing the project and the location. It is an affordable housing project, 50 affordable units, 1-bedroom units, all for income qualified households. The capital stack, the funding for the project includes low-income housing tax credits and a front porch loan of Urban Core Housing and Mobility Plan funds, as well as home funds. This project is an investment in the neighborhood of about $10.5 million. They're asking for $660,785 in TIF support, and the project's been reviewed by the city's TIF committee and comes to you with a recommendation from city staff and the city TIF committee for approval. It's a good project. We like affordable housing.
Okay, thank you, Don. Any other proponents? Seeing none, are there any opponents? Seeing none, I will close the public. Sir, do you have your hand up? No, okay. I'll close the public hearing. Eric.
Yeah, so there's 3 different cases, one related to the TIF, one is a future land use amendment, and then the third is a rezoning with the ACI overlay district. So these are all compliant with the city's master plan. So regarding agenda item 2, which is the future land use amendments, staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Eric. Do I have a motion? Motion to approve. I have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you.
Regarding agenda item 8, which is the TIF, as Don and Rob had both mentioned, this is an affordable housing project. So, of course, the city needs housing in all levels and especially affordable. So we'd definitely love to see those projects come in. Staff recommends approval.
Thank you, Eric. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thank you. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you.
And the final case is agenda item 16, which is the rezoning. Staff recommends approval of the expansion of the ACI overlay district and approval of the rezoning from R7 to MBD.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve the expansion of the ACI overlay district and approval of the rezoning from R7 to NBD.
Second.
Thank you. I have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Rupert? Yes. Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you. All right. Next is item 3, case C3 26-132. The applicant is Planning Department on behalf of the City of Omaha. This is approval of the B&B Boxing Redevelopment Project Plan. The location is an area generally bounded by 30th Street on the east, 31st Avenue on the west, Sprague Street on the south, and Taylor Street on the north. May we hear from the applicant? Applicant here?
Jennifer Taylor from the Law Department is going to say a few words and come down.
Before the applicant?
Yeah.
Okay.
For the applicant.
Oh, for the applicant. Okay, got it.
Good afternoon, Jennifer Taylor, City Law Department. As we discussed in the pre-meeting this morning, this is a redevelopment plan produced by the city pursuant to the Nebraska Community Development Law. Under the Nebraska Community Development Law, the city is allowed to convey property for less than fair market value if the city gets what it determines to be fair value for a property. So the project, which I'm sure the gentleman behind me will explain in greater detail, but the redevelopment plan here supports and describes the redevelopment and new construction of some facilities associated with B&B Boxing Academy. This will be located immediately adjacent to their existing facility and is on land that is currently owned by the City of Omaha. The City of Omaha has reviewed the property. It is currently land that we are not using or nor do we need to use, and we would like to partner with B&B Boxing Academy and further their goals by conveying this land to them for less than fair market value. This redevelopment plan will allow the city to do that. Happy to answer any questions you have.
Very good. Thank you, Jennifer. Okay. Now, is the applicant present? Or, yeah.
Good afternoon, Manny Cook, 3306 Cass Street, board member for B&B Sports Academy. And
my name is Hugh Reef, 1905 Harney Street, Suite 660, Omaha, Nebraska, 68102. And I'm a board member and the interim executive director.
Right. And what was your first name again? I'm sorry.
Manny.
Manny, thank you.
Yep. And we're just here to help answer any questions if needed. So thanks.
Can you tell us a little bit about the project?
Well, yeah, I'll show you the site plan. So if you wanna,
It's a great project. I think the community would love to see a little bit about it. So.
yeah, I'll talk about the site and such, and he can tell you more about the operations and things like that. But as you can see, the site would be just north of the existing facility between that and then the North Omaha Transit Station, which I'll just put in a plug that I think is a really great opportunity to have access to this site. But we'll add, I'll show you an image of the finished, or of the concept right now. We'll add a really great amenity to the community as far as aesthetically. Right off of the Boulevard, Paxton Boulevard, that approach as well is what we're looking at. So between just the aesthetics and lift that it will provide to the community, there's also the programming, which it says B&B Boxing, but it's a sports academy, so it's beyond just boxing, right? So there's the ideas of having from basketball to even trades training and so on and so forth. But I'll let Hugh talk more about the existing programming and where we would be looking to go. So
perfect.
Again, I'm Hugh Reef. I've been one of the founding. I've been on the board since the foundation of B&B Sports Academy, which was one time B&B Boxing Academy. Currently own a piece of real estate that was renovated in 2014 at 3034 Sprague Street. A couple of years ago, through a donation from our founder, Terrence Crawford, we were able to secure another piece of property. We did that in consideration or sort of reliance, hope on a promise made by the old Mayor Stothert in regards to trying to help us get some of that property. So we bought another piece of property so that our piece of property that we own right now and the subsequent one that was closed on last year is going to theoretically all go together with this property that Ms. Taylor and the city is working with us. So that said, to make it a little, wrap this up, the nonprofit is the youth center for at-risk youth, kind of a mecca for at-risk youth to come in there and for free to take part in programming that's going to build their confidence, their discipline, give them build healthy habits for a lifetime. That's our mission over there, right? So we're trying to give kids a thing to do with their idle mind, to, you know, fight the devil's advocate, so to speak. That said, we got to. Our founders want to do more than boxing. Well, we do have wrestling. We're working with another fellow that's putting together basketball programs, and so we have some. We're going to be able to fill up that space. We think we're busting at the seams right now, serving children within the community, and you know, obviously there's a need for it.
Where are you operating out of right now?
And I'll just tag in on what he's saying about busting at the seams is the fact that if you were to go down there on pretty much any given day, it's just full of people training, right? And on top of that, it's one of the most vibrant community centers, anchors within North Omaha. So this is a win for the community in a major way.
And specifically as to the numbers, we're probably serving between 75 and 125 kids, youth per night, essentially for free from us and from our tenant, RP Nationals, and we collaborate with several other like-minded nonprofits within the community.
How many employees do you have then?
I'm sorry?
How many employees do you have then?
We have 5. We have a new executive director, Daniel Boyd, that was hired today as his first day, so that was maybe on the low for a minute. But now that's...
Should have brought him.
I feel...
Yeah.
So we're really happy to have Mr. Boyd. He's an experienced guy with some experience in sports management. And so we're looking to add more sports because Terrence and Brian McIntyre, the other co-founder, that's their vision, is to touch more people. So we can do it. We can touch 100, but why aren't we touching 150, or excuse me, 250, right? So that's why these founders are going to take the city up and say, okay, well, if we can meet and do this together, let's do it.
Okay, awesome. Great project. Thank you. Okay, are there any other proponents that wish to speak? Seeing none, are there any opponents that wish to speak on this? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Any questions? Eric?
Yeah, obviously a great existing facility and a great potential expansion. So we're excited to work with the board and the applicant. Staff recommends approval.
Great, thank you, Eric. Do I have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Rupert?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you. Okay, next is item, good luck. Next is item 7, KC 326022. The applicant is Planning Department on behalf of the City of Omaha. The request is approval of the Drury Plaza TIF redevelopment project plan. The location is 501 South 10th Street. Don, please.
Yes, good afternoon. Don Seaton, Omaha City Planning Department. The Drury Hotel site is located at the southeast corner of 10th and Harney Streets. They have submitted an application for an EEA, that's an enhanced employment area, which is essentially a occupation tax. Basically, EEA is a program whereby the owner imposes a special tax on their own property and their own customers to help pay for the initial construction of the property. In this case, in this case, the proposed EEA is for 3% on 3% tax on all gross hotel sales, which would essentially yield about $7.5 million, a little more, over a 30-year term. The EEA committee, which is basically a subset of the tax increment financing TIF committee, reviewed the EEA application, and they recommend to you folks denial of the application because they felt it did not, the proposed Drury Hotel does not meet the city's downtown hotel incentive policy. The city's downtown hotel incentive policy was developed a few years back primarily because we had so many hotels downtown of kind of a mid-range level that were getting financial incentives from the city, primarily TIF, and it was felt that there are too many of these. The downtown hotel policy says that the city will not approve TIF nor EEA for hotels that are of the categories economy, mid-scale, upper mid-scale, and upscale. In other words, the city only wants to provide an incentive for hotels that are in the upper upscale or luxury category. And the EEA committee reviewed the Drury Hotel proposal, and they felt that it did not meet the upper upscale nor luxury categories and recommend denial. And that's where we leave it with you folks. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Any questions for Don? Okay, no. Thank you. Are there any proponents that wish to speak?
Brent Beller, let me get my stuff out here. Sorry, I might be a tad long-winded today. Brent Beller, 11440 West Center Road, on behalf of the applicant, Drury Hotels. With me today is Jared Barbary and Mark Cole. They are the local boots on the ground. They do this throughout the United States on behalf of Drury Hotels. Don's right. We did apply for TIF. And just one clarification on that, or I'm sorry, we applied for the EEA. One clarification, and I'll let Don confirm this maybe by a nod of the head. Our application in and of itself complies with state law. So the application, right, complies with everything with state law. So really what we're talking about is this hotel policy. But let me back up. So here's the lot. It's lot 9. This lot was platted back when we did the redevelopment of the ConAgra campus. I had the pleasure, along with maybe a few of you, and I know some of the planning staff, when we reinstalled the street grid, when we reinstalled all the utilities, this lot has always been programmed for a hotel. So as you sit here today, fundamentally from a zoning entitlement standpoint, it's approved for a hotel. We've gone through the ABA process to have 3 additional driveways. That was unanimously approved by the ABA. We have support letters from our neighbors at ConAgra. I think that was actually just delivered to staff today, by the way, Eric. We have support letters from Hines, our nearest neighbor to our north. And we also have the support of the Downtown Omaha Improvement District. In addition to that, as much as our city has design standards and requirements, and Mr. Moulton and Mr. Fanslaw hold us to those standards, especially down in the old market, we already have the approval of the ConAgra Redevelopment Campus, ARC, their Architectural Review Committee. Their standards actually go above and beyond what even the cities require. So I mention that because everything that is being built here is fully vetted, been fully approved. If we were to get this incentive, we are ready to go. Permits are with the city or just about to be submitted. This is the holdup. So real quick, this is what the site will actually look like. This is looking south. So if you're at Memoir across the street, you're looking south. You can see this building will be skinned just like every other building in the old market. It will have an opening and awning for valet parking. This again is looking south. As we look north, this would be behind the building. If you're staying by Embassy Suites looking north, you can see our parking garage that will have about 170 spaces. This will be a podium building, so we'll have 2 levels of parking below, controlled, climate controlled. Those things cost a lot of money, which is why we're trying to get these incentives. But again, this is you're looking north. Here you're looking west. Here you're looking east. And this is a nice rendering of what it actually will look like when it's built. So everything that's been done here as far as the outside skinning in this building complies with all your urban design. We have incorporated the brick veneer, the stone materials on the sides, as well as that metal, I think they call it asbestos or pieces, which is the same thing that our neighbors at the Mercantile property have. So this is the hotel. There's been a lot of discussion about Drury, but I'll just give you a gentle reminder of who Drury is. Drury is a family-owned company. 52 years they've been doing this. They have over 150 hotels in the United States. They have 127,000 rooms. They own, they operate, they manage all of their properties. What you see is what you get. There won't be a franchisee. There won't be somebody not taking care of this property. Everything they do, they own and hold. And that matters. And we were asked at pre-planning about why neighbors would support this. The neighbors support this because they know what they're getting. This is a first-class operation. They stand by everything that they do in every city and every market that they go to. Don't take our word for it. Take the word of J.D. Powers and Associates. So there's lots of ways to measure brand loyalty. But J.D. Powers and Associates rates hotels. They rate them based on customer feedback. This is Drury Hotels versus the upper upscale segment, the one that, that's the segment of these hotels that policy says that we want to have. As you can see, they're at the top. Then there's another thing called rating the net promoters. This is how likely someone's to recommend this hotel to somebody else. This is against, I'm sorry, let me go over here real quick. This is the net promoter rating. But this segment is rated against all luxury style hotels. So as you can see, Drury again rates, even on the luxury brand, up with Ritz-Carlton, Waldorf Astoria, Lowe's, JW Marriott. Why does that matter? Why does customer feedback, company satisfaction, why does that matter? Because the whole intent of this policy is that we need to make sure that we safeguard the convention center and folks wanting to come here. We show you these things because this matters. People that actually come to our city love these hotels. Don't take our word for it. J.D. Powers has said this. 19 years we have been #1 in market. Forbes has rated us one of the best hotels in the United States. Newsweek has come out and said they're one of the best hotels in the United States, both from a mid-sized business, but also diversity and working people from the bottom up to the top and rising within the company. This will be a $55 million hotel, 210 rooms, every single amenity that you would see at the downtown Hilton, the Omaha Marriott. Those are our two newer hotels, which are considered full service in the sense that they have convention space, they have room service, they have valet, they have a pool, they have a fitness center, they have a restaurant, they have a bar. All of those things at those hotels, this hotel will have the exact same thing. So the hotel policy says that you judge hotels based upon STR. STR, the only thing that it rates is not the amenities, not the outside of the building. The only thing it actually rates is what's called the ADR. That's your average daily rate. The higher your rate, your ADR, the higher you get judged. So if you have an $800 room average, you would be in the luxury segment. If you had a $400 to $50, if you're using 800, you would be in upper upscale, and down the scale you go. So we understand the intent behind this policy. We understand that we're trying to attract convention and bureaus. But the way Drury is judged under STR is a little bit complicated, only in the sense that Drury has two types of hotels. They have what's called Drury Plaza, which is exactly what you're getting here, and they also have Drury Inn and Suites. They're on two different wavelengths as far as just ratings and rates and ADR. Drury Plaza would be more of an upper upscale as far as their ADR. Drury Inn and Suites would be more of the mid-scale or upscale rating. But when you blend them under HTR, they get blended at upscale, which is why I understand why the planning department recommended denial, simply because when you look at Drury and you look at STR, it says upscale. Understood. But to build an upscale hotel here would serve no one's interests, which is why Drury has done what no other hotel brand in Omaha ever has done, which is committing to delivering an upper upscale hotel. So how do we do that? We have already agreed in writing, we've sent that to the city law department and some staff members, every one of our commitments to build an upper upscale hotel here. If we fail to do that, like every other TIF redevelopment agreement, take the incentive away. But I don't understand why we would not want to incentivize someone to build a really, really nice upper upscale hotel here. Because again, the intent of the hotel policy is build nice hotels. That's what's intended to do. We get it, we respect it. But if you don't provide the incentive, three things may happen. Number one, nothing, no hotel gets here. And by the way, Drury owns this lot. So it's not like we can go pivot to another lot or go do this somewhere else, or somebody else could come in and build a hotel here. Drury owns it. So we could do nothing. Option two is you could build a less quality hotel that is clearly not upper upscale. And in that scenario, the city of Omaha and this policy are clearly not being followed. Alternatively, you could incentivize a hotelier like Drury to go build an upper upscale hotel and hold them to those standards. And the one thing my client is doing today is we're committing to doing that. Everything that we do, we stand by. We've showed, this hotel, the Drury Plaza Hotel, has worked in other markets. Here are some examples of other hotels. This is one of 8 private hotels down in Walt Disney World. Drury just built this. I think at the pre-meeting, the question was asked, hey, will the interior of this building look like the interior of Omaha? And the answer is yes. It will emphatically look just like this as far as the scale, the type of equipment, the modeling of the interior finishes. It will look like that hotel. Here's Drury Plaza down in Nashville. Nashville's the new Nash Vegas. It's a new place to be, apparently. This hotel worked for Nashville as well. San Antonio, the Riverwalk. That's their major corridor. That's their attraction down there. This hotel worked for San Antonio as well. And then, of course, Drury is out of St. Louis. The Drury St. Louis, right at the foot of their biggest amenity, which is the Arch. It works for them as well. So the point is while we understand that when you go judge Drury on an SDR scale and it says upscale, it doesn't fit the letter of the law of that policy. And we get it. That's why we're committing in writing to go build an upper upscale hotel. So I understand this board is a recommending body only, and that your recommendation ultimately goes to City Council. But we're here to answer questions. We're here to provide commitments. And having your recommendation of approval, knowing that we will commit to everything we're trying to do, I don't see how the city of Omaha loses in that scenario. So I might just stop there, and I know folks are going to have questions, but we appreciate your consideration. I truly do. I applaud staff. I applaud the city law department. They spent a lot of time listening to me. We've gone back and forth on how this works, how this doesn't work. But I think this is an instance where if everyone's rowing the same way on this river, we can accomplish everything that the city wants, and Drury will also accomplish what they want. All we're asking for on this is to get a chance to deliver. So let us deliver, and if we don't, take that incentive away. So I'll stop there. If you have questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Brett, a couple questions for you. There's a $200 million convention center expansion that's happening right now, right?
Correct.
So the idea with that is need to attract bigger conventions to the city of Omaha, which is great for everybody. With that, of course, comes the need for hotel rooms, right? Hotel space, which is a complete shortage of in that area right now. How many rooms? But I don't think you mentioned that in your testimony. How many rooms will this have?
210.
210. I don't know. You probably don't have the data that indicate what the shortage of rooms are in the downtown area of Omaha right now?
I don't. I've heard Jazz and other folks say it's upwards of 800 to 1,000 rooms. Give me a nod. Okay, yes, that's what we're deficient currently.
Okay.
Remember though, this is a 1.5 acre lot. You can't go squeeze a ton of stuff onto this lot without just changing how you're going to park it, all that sort of good stuff. And the other thing too is people are sensitive about what ADR is and watering down the ADR so that future hotels don't want to come to Omaha. The more rooms you put on the market, the ADR will always go down. So there is a little bit of sensitivity about what kind of hotel or what kind of rooms you put on the market, which is why we're committing to putting upper upscale rooms on the market, 210. Does it fix the issue? No, it doesn't, but we're trying.
Well, it's a 1.5 acre site, but there's nothing to prevent Drury from going vertical.
Cost.
Other than cost.
Yeah, so.
Right, so, okay.
Which is why we would love to get more incentives to do more development, but the reality is Costs are costs.
All right.
This is what you get with 8 floors.
So with the existing footprint that you've got there right now, what's the square footage of your convention space that you're going to have in this?
The meeting room area, it's about 2,000 square feet.
2,000 square feet.
Yep.
It's not much.
But we're not necessarily a convention hotel. We have really big convention spaces, hotels already in this city. So one of the things that we struggle with is people say, well, we want you to build a really nice hotel, but then you're going to bring down the ADR. So how does adding more convention space help or not help the hotels that already have convention spaces? That's not what we do. We're necessarily an upper upscale hotel. And notwithstanding that, this is the kind of the issue that we've been struggling with. You're talking about amenities. Those amenities are not what SDR is judged by. SDR only rates the ADR. So if we wanted to have a policy, Mr. Pate, that says, hey, if you're going to get this incentive, here are all the amenities that you need to do, I'm okay with that. And I think your policy probably should say that, but it doesn't. So what we've done, though, is we've committed to doing all those things. Obviously, our convention space is a little bit smaller than what the Hilton has, but we think other things about our hotel would be better than the Hilton or would be better than the Marriott. And that's just the consumer gets to decide that.
Yeah. The references that you made to J.D. Power and the surveys and everything, were those independent surveys?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Those are market. Everyone accepts those as the gold standard as far as
but what we don't have there are the types of questions that were asked in those surveys, obviously. So, and I say that because I hate surveys.
Sure.
Right, because you can develop a survey to make the outcome come any way that you want it to look, for the most part. And if it's professionally done, maybe not, but we just don't know what the criteria of the questions were with regards to those surveys there. This is a Drury Plaza.
Correct.
How many Drury Plazas are there in the United States versus Drury Inns?
I know off the top of my head, 40% of their market is Drury Plaza, 60% is Drury Inn and Suites. I'm going to give a gentle look to see if we know the exact number.
I don't have the exact number in my head, but that's
About that.
not far off.
Yeah.
And so
Most of the Drury Plazas are a larger room count, such as this one.
Okay.
So
We'll have
what
you
this
come up
is Drury Plaza is their high-end market hotel. Sometimes they go and they build above even what the standard Drury Plaza hotel might be. An example, if you go to Lincoln, Nebraska, that was the first Drury in the state of Nebraska. This would be the second Drury in the state of Nebraska, first to the Omaha market. That hotel is a Drury Plaza. That hotel did not apply and did not receive TIF from the city of Lincoln. Just from an ADR standpoint, they looked at the market segment, they did a cost analysis about what the market is paying for hotel rooms in Lincoln, Nebraska, and doing the level of finishes, exterior and interior in Lincoln, Nebraska, didn't make financial sense. So they didn't do that. So that hotel is a little less quality than what you'll see here because the ADR in Omaha is higher. So we can build to a higher standard and commit to doing that because we know our ADR will be a little bit more here in Omaha.
What do you think that would be here?
The average nightly rate, I might have to call one of those guys
Okay,
up here.
I'll bring them up.
Okay.
Yeah. Or that maybe they'll come up volunteer.
But suffice to say, that ADR would be upper upscale. So it'll be the same thing that every other upper upscale. And we got to be careful talking about because there's a lot of hotels in our city that technically aren't upper upscale for a variety of reasons. The other thing is that some of these upper upscale hotels that we have in our city, they don't have a convention space. They don't have room service. They don't have an on-site restaurant. They don't have any of the amenities that we're offering, but they're still considered upscale just because their ADR is high enough. So again, I'm not trying to poo-poo on the policy, but the policy doesn't get you what you actually want. The policy kind of holds down the market. I'll give you another example. So let's say Hilton wants to come to the city of Omaha, and they go to this lot 9. They say, we're going to build a Hilton hotel. As soon as you sell that to Hilton, Hilton could put anything they want there. But Hilton is an upper upscale. But there's other hotels in the Hilton family that are judged differently. But because they're a Hilton, those lower standard hotels get brought up to that higher standard of upper upscale. That's not what you want either. So that's why, again, we are the only hotel that's ever come for EEA or TIF that has said we commit to building an upper upscale hotel. Every hotel in downtown Omaha has EEA. Every hotel in downtown Omaha has gotten TIF. And we are the first ones that are actually committing to do that and maintain an upper upscale hotel via our redevelopment agreement whenever we get to that point. So I'm really at a loss as to what else we can do. And we talk about the convention space. Drury has committed, via some conversations that we've had with the Convention Bureau, that we will have a dedicated person here in Omaha, which we weren't planning to do originally, but they're going to do it now because this means a lot to them. This is their first in market. They want to shine. They want to kick the ball out of the court. They will have a dedicated person on site in Omaha, direct line, so that if anybody from the CBB needs to call somebody to help with conventions, we should be their first call. We'll put that in writing. In fact, we did in the provision that we sent. So I get the policy. The policy there is to control and enhance and make sure we get really nice hotels. That's what this is. That's why we're coming forward. That's why we still considered pushing all this, because we believe in what we're building. And that's our commitment. So I've been in front of this board many, many times for many, many projects. I believe in this. This is a hotel that benefits my city as well. I believe in their commitment. I've never worked with somebody that has been more dedicated to making sure that they get this right for our city. And so I really applaud Drury for that. So I'm not sure that that directly answers your question.
You're good. You're good. All right. Any other questions for Brett? All right. Thank you, Brett. Are there any, you want to come up and speak or not? It's totally entirely up to you. Actually, I might call you up anyway. So
what's that?
You have a choice.
They flew all the way here.
Come on
they
up
might as
anyway.
well just say hi. Okay.
And if you would, enter your names and addresses for the record.
Sure. My name's Mark Cole. My address is 13075 Manchester Road, Pear, Missouri. I'm here on behalf of Drury Development and Drury Hotels Corporation. With me is Jared Barbie. Same address, our business address in De Pere, Missouri. I'm happy to answer any questions, or we're happy to answer any questions that you may have. Brent really touched on a lot of it. I guess the thing I would reiterate is the fact that as an operation and as a brand and a family company, we've been in existence for the Drury brand 52, 53 years, but really in the hotel business much longer than that, and have a long-term commitment to being in your market. We bring a recognized best in class from a standpoint of customer service, customer satisfaction. We're frequently awarded best employers in markets, highest in diversity, best in diversity, and really from an ownership standpoint, we intend to be great corporate citizens and be here for the long term. We don't stabilize and sell and move the asset on to somebody else to manage. And we are confident that we will boost the tourism and hospitality level and bring more and more people to the city of Omaha. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
So one quick question. How long has Drury Plaza been in existence? I'm familiar with Drury Inn. They've been around for a long time, obviously. But how long have you really started developing Drury Plaza hotels?
Yes, sir. Off the top of my head, I believe the first one was opened in about 2000. And Britton showed a picture of that in downtown St. Louis, Missouri.
That was St.
Which was a historic rehabilitation of the former International Fur Trading Building. There.
Is that home for Drury? Is that corporate headquarters there?
St. Louis?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're in the suburb of De Pere.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I'm familiar with the one, Drury Inns I'm familiar with, and I'm familiar with the one in Orlando as well.
Yeah, we have a couple of assets in Orlando.
Well, the one on Disney property.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful hotel.
That is one of 8 properties on Walt Disney World that are owned by people other than Disney.
Yeah. And Disney has pretty high standards.
Incredibly.
For everything that they do.
We were vetted fully to be able to join them, and we're very proud to be part of and recognized as a Disney World property.
So how would you compare what you're proposing here against that hotel, other than the size is different? But
yeah, the size is a little different, but as Brent mentioned, from an amenity standpoint, this is as much or more. Finish-wise on the interiors and the rooms will be very comparable. over time, things change from a standpoint of colorways and things, but each of our facilities, you'll find high-quality finishes throughout. And this one would be equivalent to the Disney property.
If I may, just quickly, again, Jared Barbie, same address, 13075 Manchester Road. You asked about the J.D. Power rankings and survey results, and how the results of a survey can be spun any sort of which way to tell the right story. So just for perspective on these categories that our hotels are ranked by our customers with to generate these J.D. Power results that you saw on screen. The J.D. Power customer satisfaction ranking, they test 7 categories across hotel brands. And I'll read them here for you. I had a note on it handy here. Check in and check out. So the experience of the customer as they move in and out of the building. The facility itself, so that's this generic, the product. Food and beverage. The rooms, so the experience in the guest room. Staff service, so the experience that the customer has with our team members on property. Connectivity, which has become a big one. It's all things IT. How do I hook to the room, to my phone, streaming devices, etc. And value. So across those 7 categories, you heard Brent share with you 19 years we've won that award for customer satisfaction. And then you saw our results tested against all brands globally. And that's the customer speaking about their experience across those 7 categories in our facilities. It's just a testament to the work that our team members on the ground across the country, 150 properties, 24,000 rooms are putting in to serve the customer every day.
Is that both Drury Inn and Drury Plaza?
That is Drury Hotels. So as Brent described, Drury Hotels in those survey results is Drury Inn and Suites and Drury Plaza Hotels combined. And even in the combined results with our Inn and Suites brand, we are still performing from a customer satisfaction perspective across those 7 categories with the likes of the luxury brands. And that's something we're very proud of. We're proud of our team members for the work that goes in every single day with our customer. And we're committed to providing that same level of service and that high quality product here for Omaha.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions for you? Yeah, sure, fire away.
Yes, sir.
Mark and Jared, thank you for Drury Hotel's interest in the Omaha market. We deeply appreciate that, and I think all of the staff and the board are interested in economic development of Omaha, particularly the urban core here that we're talking about. Question for you about Drury Hotels. In your operations, you've got 2 different types of product, as I understand it. Are those operations split, or are they shared, combined? Do you report metrics for all of them as a whole, or separately as individual sub-brands? How do your operations work related to the 2 different product types?
Yeah, different than maybe different flags or brands that you would see at some of our competitors. We choose to consolidate our results into one, and part of that is because we have 150 instead of 5,000 or whatever the case is. So the J.D. Power, the STR that we talk about, those things, it's a cumulative of all those hotels, regardless of which of those 2 brands they fall under.
So what I think I've heard your counsel say is that your ADR is weighed down a little bit by that consolidation in the particular metric that the city of Omaha is looking at with a policy that's been in place since 2017. Is that a fair understanding of what is happening here related to the ADR?
Well, certainly from the standpoint of the average of the 2, then yes. Verbally, what we've been told is that if they were judged separately, the Plaza brand would rise to the upper upscale segment if looking at the ADR side, which is what STR does, STR. We choose for a lot of reasons to combine the 2 from the standpoint of how everything is monitored and managed.
You've had some success, obviously, by your own self-reported metrics and others here, J.D. Power, that you're reporting with customer service, and to be congratulated as a business and an operation. But there's this particular policy and metric here that's part of the judgment in consideration. That is, I don't know if oddity is the right word, but we're in an interesting place trying to evaluate this proposal related to that and the size of your operation. I'll give you a final comment on that. That's just an observation.
Okay, I guess, what I would say on that is that you have your policy. You decided for whatever reason that you would use the metric that you have. I think through Brent's discussion, testimony, and if you just look around at other hotels in the market, that single metric really doesn't encapsulate what you are trying to achieve. And so our point of putting it down on paper and including it in the actual document does. And perhaps at another time that would be considered as part of how you gauge these in the future. But we're willing to go above and beyond and put that in writing because we believe in it. We show you these things, we say these things because we're 100% confident that we will carry forward on them.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Great. Thank you. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Yeah, can I ask, so in Drury Plaza, you've mentioned the Disney version and then the Lincoln version, and I thought I heard it was noted it was still of different quality. How do you standardize that Plaza brand within your organization?
Standardized is probably a point that some in our organization would like to get more to, but frankly, we've each site, each market, et cetera, have some unique characteristics. And so here, to meet both the, I'm drawing a blank, the ARC approval that's in place relative to the redevelopment area, and in our belief in the Omaha market, we made the decision to go further on this building with structured parking immediately accessible to the building and the rooms, the exterior of the building, and other finishes and layouts on the interior.
Good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just a gentle reminder, that ARC, Brent Beller 11440 West Center, that is ConAgra. We have covenants down there, private covenants, that require that you build, design, develop buildings down there pursuant to those covenants. Mm-hmm. Their standards are higher than even the City of Omaha standards as far as design and finishes. And so when Mark mentions that, we thought that was a really big win when we got the ARC's approval because they're very, very stringent about what they approve down there.
Anything else? Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Good.
Are there any other proponents that wish to speak on this? See none. Are there any opponents? Nope. With that, I'll close the public hearing then and hear from the City of Omaha. Eric.
Well, there's been others here at the city that have been more involved in this conversation, so I guess I would open up the opportunity for Director Fanslau, Jennifer Taylor from the Law Department, or Jazz Goodwin from the Visitors and Convention Bureau.
Actually, that'd be great. Actually, Jasmine, I'd like you to come forward if you would. And we heard from you in the pre-meeting, but you offered some interesting information that I'd like you to share for the record as well.
Good afternoon, Jasmine Goodwin with the Omaha Convention and Visitors Bureau.
The information that you read to us.
Oh, yes,
was
absolutely.
important, I think.
Again, this comes from, well, just a little bit of background. The Convention and Visitors Bureau, one of our primary tasks is selling the city as a tourism destination, both to leisure audiences, but also meeting planners, event organizers. And when we do that, of course, our crown jewel is CHI, $200 million expansion. Very excited about it. But right now what we run into is we work on securing room blocks, hotel room blocks. So we get all the rooms we can from Hilton Omaha. Our chief overflow hotel is the Marriott at the Capital District. And then once we still in need of more overflow hotels, then we look into our select service properties. We just try to stay in the downtown area as much as possible. We have great working relationships with all of those properties, all of the downtown hotels, and I'm sure that would be the same situation with the Drury, but looking at what meeting planners and consultants are telling us, we really need a new convention hotel that would be upper upscale or luxury that could really serve as a new anchor hotel. So 800 to 1,000 rooms would be absolutely fantastic. I spoke with several consultants that have also given us the same feedback, and this is what I will read to you now. Omaha, Nebraska is in the midst of a genuine convention market evolution. Billions invested in its convention district, riverfront, and downtown infrastructure, and a hotel mix that is increasingly luxury and boutique properties. Against that backdrop, the addition of a Drury hotel presents a mixed signal for the city's destination perception. While Drury's reputation for guest satisfaction is strong, and additional inventory of rooms is always useful, a Drury classified as upscale by Star and 3 Diamond by AAA does not reinforce the upper tier narrative Omaha is working to build. The more productive question for the city of Omaha and its stakeholders is not whether Drury is a good hotel, it is, but whether Omaha can afford at this stage of its evolution to add properties that signal anything other than upward momentum. Visit Omaha's 50% in-person conversion rate is evidence that the product can close deals. What it needs is a pre-visit perception that puts it in consideration for the right meetings in the first place. The hotels that open in Omaha over the next 5 years will either accelerate that perception shift or slow it. A Drury Plaza, however well executed, slows it. So.
Okay.
Any other
Thank you.
questions for
Do
me?
you have any questions at all?
So when you are securing these blocks of rooms in various hotels, how often are the requirements to have various conferencing or meeting space within that hotel?
It comes up, it came up more prior to the expansion. Now with the expansion, because we sell for business years out, and now with the expanded room space, it's getting a little bit easier, but now we're having trouble fitting people in the city and figuring out where to put them. But yes, we've often had to rely on the Hilton's ballroom and their breakout meeting space, and same with the Marriott to meet space needs. But for the most part, a big roadblock, a barrier that we continuously run into is that meeting planners want all their folks to be under one roof. And if they can't be under one roof, then maybe 2, 3 at most. And sometimes, depending on the size of the group, we have to go to up to 10 hotels. So, and then of course, then everyone starts jockeying, trying to get the rooms in the upper upscale hotels. And so we run into a lot of challenges.
Thank you.
Hopefully that answers your question.
I think that's a good valid.
Jasmine,
Yes.
quick question. You have mentioned the oversaturation of a certain level of hotel in the urban core. How is that saturation level measured?
They're single select service properties. So when meeting planners and consultants come in, they're looking at how many upper upscale luxury hotels do you have? And I know at pre-council we talked about the fact that we have no luxury hotels. So we have to point at Hilton Omaha and the Marriott Capital, the Farnham for our upper upscales. Cottonwood we do use, but it's a little further out than a lot of folks would like. So naturally we're looking at the Courtyard, the Embassy, the places that are really in that downtown core. And meeting planners often point out, okay, we really want to put all of our folks in more full service, upper upscale properties.
Okay, anything else for Jasmine? No. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Maybe if we could hear from Jennifer about the policy itself and how it applies to the denial recommendation in this particular request.
No one lets me talk. Jennifer Taylor, City Law Department. The policy, which is included in your materials in your packet, was prepared in, I believe, 2018. Does that sound right? Yes. In 2018, because we had actually a hotel consultant come in and do kind of a study of our market. We had recently approved tax-exempt financing to support a number of limited service hotels kind of in and around Charles Schwab Field. And a lot of those were to support the College World Series, and that was understandable. But we had a hotel consultant that came and basically shared with us that we have too many of those kinds, the category of hotels in our downtown. So, your Fairfields, your Hamptons, your Holiday Inns, the Hilton Garden Inn, et cetera, that what we need is to incentivize and attract those upper upscale hotels. And we haven't really had a whole lot of new hotel development downtown since then. COVID, obviously, we had a huge impact on hotels. But that was what we were told we needed to do. And so the city made a decision at that time to limit the incentive, the use of the incentive, particularly of tax-exempt financing or of general business occupation tax financing, to only those hotels that are upper upscale or luxury as defined by STR. And that was the decision we made when we drafted the policy at that time. There is, and you will note, an exception in the policy for kind of uniquely positioned hotels. There's also an exception for hotels that are renovations of historic or likely historic buildings. So, again, although we did want to limit the city's subsidy and incentivizing of limited service hotels, we were willing to say if there is a historic rehabilitation or something super unique or that benefits the convention center directly, that was something we could make an exception for. However, by the letter of the policy, Drury's, despite all the conversations and everything you've had, is not an upper upscale or a luxury property. I appreciate they have presented their willingness to go above and beyond what they normally do, and that is for, I guess, the various different boards and bodies that will approve this to consider. But by the letter of the policy, they don't meet it.
Okay. Thank you. Director Fanslaw, do you have anything to add? No. Nope. Okay. Anybody else?
Okay, so I guess my only words, you can continue the conversation. I'll just say the city staff recommendation is denial.
Okay, very good. Brett?
Yeah.
You've heard some other commentary here. Do you want to comment on anything else that you've heard at this point?
I do. So I heard Brent Beller, 11440 Westerner Road. I wish we would know who these consultants are that are saying that. That is news to us. We're pretty big on standardized. I mean, Jared just presented J.D. Powers. These are industry accepted people that judge these hotels. It'd be nice to know who those consultants are. I'll remind you again, Drury is committing to have personnel on site to deal with block rooms, that sort of thing. Also keep in mind, when you do block rooms, what you're actually doing is you're selling your room for a lower rate. That will cause your ADR to go down. So keep that, I bring that up because we talk about this, the SDR and how it rates your ADR. But when you do that, when you have block rooms, you're lowering your rate. So it kind of defeats the whole purpose. The other thing I heard Jazz talk about was maybe hotels having convention spaces. Aren't we doing $200 million of development at CHI for conventions? Are the conventions needed to take place at the hotels, or are we doing it down at the CHI? Because if you need a hotel room that is full service, and has restaurants and room service and everything else, this is your place for that convention. So I'll also remind you that all these other upper upscale hotels in Omaha, they don't have any of those amenities. They don't have convention space. They don't have room service. They don't have the things that we will actually have. But again, that's not how you rate as STR. I mean, Jennifer is right. Again, we explained Plaza hotels would be upper upscale. Inn & Suites is down here. They meet in the middle of upscale, which is why we will commit in writing to following the policy, which is something that no other hotel in downtown Omaha has ever done, nor have they ever been asked to do that. We took that upon ourselves to commit to do that in writing, in a binding agreement. I'm not sure what else we can do to commit to doing that.
Fair enough. I'm glad you brought up the consultant question, because I actually had the same question. I was going to ask you the same question. Who are these consultants? Because it'd be nice to know.
Sure.
I could. We know how that works too, right? You can
Yeah,
make up,
another hotel chain is probably going to badmouth a Drury. You know, that's just
so it has to be valid and reliable.
100%.
Right?
And I'm sure it is.
And I'm sure it is too. But it'd be nice to know exactly who we're talking about with that. So I appreciate you bringing that up too. Any other questions for Brett? Anybody? Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
You know, something I should have said with only 5 planning board members present today, I should have said this at the start of the meeting, that due to the planning board bylaws, it requires 4 votes for either an approval or a denial. So if it's ever a 3-2 vote in either way, that's a motion that's failed, and you can lay over with a 3-2. So I just wanted to mention that. I should have mentioned that earlier because it applies to all the cases today.
Okay, thank you.
So we do have a board member out sick, and we're in the process of filling the 7th position. So.
Okay. And your recommendation was denial? Yes. Okay. All right. I close the public hearing. Is there any other questions anybody has? If not, I'd take a motion.
Keep going.
Yeah, if there's a failed motion, either way, whatever it is, we take another motion. I mean, theoretically, you could have failed motion, somebody works to a layover. That's usually how it works if it's a deadlocked, 3-2 in either way.
So if it's make one assumption, if we go along with the planning department's recommendation of denial and it's denied, can the process continue with dialogue going forward and then reapply for the incentives?
A failed motion doesn't mean it stops. I guess the best way. Jennifer, do you want to describe it or?
I think the question is, if the planning board recommends denial, it still goes forward to city council. It just goes forward to city council with a recommendation of denial. In these cases, the planning board is a recommending body. So it doesn't stop the process. The applicant is free to take that and move forward to city council and have the same conversation with city council.
But if city council denies as well?
Then that's the end of the road.
Okay.
I mean, they can obviously, there's an appeal process.
Okay.
Through state statute. They can appeal, based on whether or not the decision of the city council meets the necessary legal standards, or if they can argue to a judge that the city council was somehow, biased or acted inappropriately and without evidence.
Got it. So. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Do I have a motion?
Recommend denial of the TIF redevelopment project plan for the Drury Plaza Hotel.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
No.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert? Yes. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Denial is approved, 4-1.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we have item 9, which is case C3 26-138. The applicant is Planning Department on behalf of the City of Omaha. The request is approval of the 42nd and Center Community Redevelopment, CRA designation. The location is south of 42nd and Center Streets. Don, please.
Good afternoon. Don Seaton, Omaha City Planning. This agenda item asks you to make a recommendation to the City Council to designate a new community redevelopment area. It's a CRA. Main reason we have these CRAs is that it allows redevelopment projects that occur within them to apply for assistance from the city's TIF program. We were approached by Lockwood Development, who are in the very earliest of stages in looking at a large redevelopment project that would involve the old Center Mall building on the southeast corner of 42nd and Center. And they feel that to make the project work, they would need TIF support. So they asked us to look at the area and see if it would qualify for CRA designation. Incidentally, this map shows the CRAs in lavender existing in the city presently. The black line is 72nd Street. You can see that the majority of the land area of the city of Omaha east of 72nd Street is already CRA, so it's not an unusual circumstance for our older areas to be where we see the CRAs. We've had some requests out by 680 corridor, and those have typically not gone very far. One of the earliest things we do in response to, or did in response to the request from Lockwood Development, was establish boundaries of a study area. And because some of the criteria is related to census data, we use census boundaries to establish the study area. In this case, we selected two census block groups, Census Tract 35, Block Group 3, and Census Tract 3401, Block Group 1, these two block groups, to serve as our study area. And we examined those areas then and looked at the building conditions within those areas and looked at the demographic data within those areas. Now, in order to be eligible for designation as a community redevelopment area, you need to meet the definitions and criteria that are set forth in the state community development law. And those are very long, kind of cumbersome, somewhat convoluted definitions and a lengthy list of criteria. They are included in the draft report, which is in your packets in great detail. For the purposes of this presentation, I'll just hit the highlights as to how this study area complies with the definitions and criteria of state law. The two block groups from 2010 census to the 2020 census had a population loss of 4.2%, and that's one of the criteria. The per capita income within these two census block groups averaged $38,600. The citywide per capita income is $42,515. So the per capita income within this area is below the city's per capita income, and that's another one of the criteria. And you only need to meet one of them, by the way, to be eligible. Another criteria is that the average building age is 40 years of age or older. The average building age within these two, within the study area, the two block groups, is approximately 74 years. In terms of conditions, we look at both the infrastructure and the buildings. There's not a lot of visible blight where it's, falling down bad and boarded up, but the infrastructure is older, the buildings are older. Fair to average would be a good description, and that meets the criteria. The full study and how this study area complies with the state law criteria, like I said, is in your packets. I'm just kind of hitting the highlights. Now, we found that the entire area of those two block groups does indeed qualify for CRA designation. We don't necessarily want to designate the entirety of the study area. We look at the zoning of the area, we look at the existing land uses, we look at the future land use map, we take input from our long-range planners in our department, and try to identify those areas that are most likely to see some fairly intensive redevelopment activity. Much of these two block groups are long-established, solid, single-family residential neighborhoods. So we don't necessarily want to include those in the designation of the CRA, Community Redevelopment Area. What we ended up with, after looking at land uses and future land uses, is this yellow boundary. That star is the old Center Mall site that is the item that prompted this study to take place. Anyway, it is the yellow area that we are asking you to recommend to the City Council to be designated as a new community redevelopment area. We find that it does meet the criteria of the state law. I would note that while the project at the Center Mall is the impetus for the study, and the request from the developers is the impetus for the study. Approval of the CRA designation does not approve the project. That project is in the very earliest stages. It would probably need to come back for rezoning. If they do apply for TIF, it'll definitely come back to you for additional public hearings, both for you and before the city council as a project itself. We are not approving or evaluating the project itself today. We are looking at the designation of the CRA. The staff recommendation is that you approve the CRA designation. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Are there any proponents that wish to speak?
Director Payton, board members, John Blumenthal, 1601 Dodge Street from the McGrath North Law Firm, here on behalf of Lockwood Development. Lockwood Development is not the current owner of the site. We are under contract with the current owner of the site, and we are exploring developing a mixed-use project on the site, which would include multifamily and some affordable housing units as well. When I first was approached by Lockwood about this project, the first thing I always do is I look at the map to see if it is in a CRA. I frankly thought it would be when I thought of the Center Mall, given that the city has emphasized the need for TIF, particularly to the east of 72nd Street. And so when we found out, when I noted that this is not in a current community redevelopment area, we thought this would be a ripe site for a community redevelopment area. Center Mall is over 70 years old. It is aging. It is in need of some repair and upkeep. And we think we're going to present a great project. Again, as Don indicated, we are only here today to consider a CRA, not the actual TIF, not the rezoning. We anticipate being here, being able to answer all questions at the appropriate time for that. We did have a meeting with the neighborhood. As you can imagine, anytime you're building apartments, as I'm sure you've seen before, you get some nervousness, and we're going to have and anticipate having some nervousness with this project. That said, I believe that any redevelopment of this site is going to have a discussion about TIF, and it's better than not to include this area into a community redevelopment area so that we can preserve and improve the area going forward. Happy to answer any questions you have, but again, just wanted to tell you that we're excited about the possibility of redevelopment on this site.
Do you have a timeline? Did you?
It's probably going to take a little while just to get through the entitlement process, so we anticipate that taking another 3 or 4 months. In a perfect world, we still have to work out with existing tenants. We are totally understanding that there are existing leases that need to be reviewed and dealt with, and so we'll have to have those discussions with existing tenants. So to answer your question in a long-winded manner, I apologize. We'd hope that, and I'll look back to my client next fall of 2020, 2027, excuse me. I was going to say 2027 at the earliest would be when we would be breaking ground.
Okay. What is the approximate occupancy of that Center Mall right now? Do you know?
Randy, do you?
If he's going to speak, we need to bring him up.
Sorry, I don't want to. We got a current owner, but I'd say probably 100 mixed-use 112 is what you said. Thank you. 112 I had in front of me at the meeting. Approximately 100 mixed-use. It's heavily office now and small office uses, some church uses and the like. Little bit of retail, but not much. But it's calling it a mall is probably not reflective of its current use.
Yeah.
John, is your client solely interested in the properties in this potential CRA east of 42nd Street, or is there interest in other properties?
Center Mall is currently the only property Lockwood has under contract, and the only thing that we're currently looking at.
Thank you.
It's a great site for redevelopment if we can make it work.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Any other proponents that wish to speak? Seeing none. How many of you, I think there's a majority here that are for this case, so how many of you plan to speak? About 8 or so? Okay, good. Just remind you, if you come speak, please provide new testimony, not repetitive testimony, okay, if you can, that's important to us. And just a reminder, what we're here for is to approve the CRA designation, no specific project whatsoever, okay? It's just the CRA designation. Any other future items that need to come forward will come forward at that time, specifically projects, and then we can have a different discussion at that point. But I just wanted to remind you what we're here for today, okay? So with that, anybody here that wants to take the lead on the opposition? Okay, come forward. And if you plan to speak in opposition, if you maybe come forward a little bit and occupy a couple of chairs up here, that'd be great.
Good afternoon, Chairman, members of the board. My name is Rebecca Monahan. I reside at 4023 Marinda Street, Omaha 68105. As a resident and stakeholder immediately adjacent to the affected area, I'm here today to urge you to vote no on the CRA designation of case number C326138. The developer's application asks you to declare the Center Mall substandard and blighted. The official memo claims that the building suffers from obsolescence and has substantial vacant space. These claims are flatly, demonstrably false. The developer looked at a building constructed in 1955, saw some cosmetic flaws like chip paint in the parking lot, weaponized the aesthetics to claim structural failure. Age does not equal obsolescence. If the developer had actually set foot inside the building, they would have found a thriving, vital ecosystem of over 100 active tenants. This is not an abandoned, deteriorating shell. It is a quiet powerhouse of essential services for the citizens of Omaha. Inside those walls right now, clinicians are providing trauma-informed care. Doctors are providing traumatic brain injury treatments specifically tailored for our military veterans. Local families rely on the dental, medical, and mental health practices operating there alongside multiple active places of worship. To declare this vibrant community hub as blighted so a private developer can build luxury apartments is a predatory misuse of Nebraska's community development law. Furthermore, the claim that this project requires public subsidies through tax increment financing is absurd. A massive 500-unit complex will generate millions in annual rental revenue. It doesn't need taxpayer help to be viable. Meanwhile, those hundreds of new residents will immediately put a strain on our local schools, police, fire services, yet the tax revenue to pay for those services will be diverted into a private developer's pocket for the next 15 years. Redevelopment incentives were created to lift up genuinely failing areas, not to clear-cut a thriving neighborhood hub for corporate gain. Upending the livelihoods of over 100 nonprofits and small businesses, and fracturing a vital network of community care to line a developer's pockets is not progress. It is exploitation. Do not let public funds be weaponized against the very public they are meant to protect. Don't rubber stamp this corporate handout at our neighborhood's expense. Stand with the community you represent, enforce the true standard of the law, and vote no on this designation. Thank you.
Thanks, Rebecca. Any other opponents?
Good afternoon. My name is Anna Hunter from Guardian Light Family Services. We service the entire state of Nebraska, and we are currently located in Suite 224 at the Center Mall. My biggest concern is not necessarily...
Full address, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you. Not necessarily the...
No, will you please give your full address?
I apologize. 1941 South 42nd Street, Suite 224. My concern is not necessarily the redevelopment of the Center Mall area. It is how the implementation is going to move forward. I'm not sure that most people realize that the Center Mall is easily the largest centralized mental health and social services location in Omaha, if not the entire state of Nebraska. Getting rid of this centralized location for all of these services is not worth the taxpayer monies that would eventually be used in that TIF program. It would be a degradation to our community. I want to kind of walk you through what it is like to use that facility in the way that we do at Guardian Light Family Services. So we help support families who are going through the foster care system. Their children have been removed from the home for various reasons. The clients that we serve in that location are either homeless or their home is not suitable for children to safely visit there. So we will take our clients and allow them 4 visitation spaces, a large body movement area, and then we also have a conference room that has doubled as a visitation center in the past. We will bring them there to privately work on their family structure with dignity and respect, opposed to using a public location like a Burger King or a library. Once we are there, we're going to address multiple things that the court has asked families to do. Some of those things are co-occurring evaluations, which we can go upstairs to Capstone.
I'm going to stop you there. I understand what you're trying to get to there, but let's focus on the case at hand, which is the CRA designation. Okay, not necessarily what you provide. I understand what you're trying to do, and I appreciate that, but just on the case itself.
Yes.
Okay.
So if they are going to go forward with this CRA designation in order to get access to the TIF funds, I do think that the protection of the businesses and the centralized location of all of those mental health and social services should be taken into account. Their plan currently is 500 apartments that are subjectively affordable housing. I do think that it is important that we remember that we need affordable leasing opportunities. And if they are to move forward with this project, that they should dedicate approximately 75 to 80% of the space to the businesses that are already currently there so that we can maintain this centralized mental health and social services hub that we have. This type of model is very forward-thinking. You see it in a lot of other areas of the world, like Italy and France, to have services all compounded in one place. That also helps us save taxpayer funds because we are able to help clients get through the process faster, and we're not using taxpayer funds to help this family through that process of the foster care system and DHHS. So if there is any way that you can somehow put a boundary on what those buildings can house, how many of it can be apartments, how many have to be offered to the services that are already there, so that we can maintain the center collective of mental health services. I think that would be extremely beneficial, particularly if they're going to ask for TIF funds later on down the road. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Anna. Okay, any other opponents that wish to speak?
My name is Mary Packett, 2114 South 38th Avenue, and it's really awkward here a little bit because I know Don. I worked with Don. I worked with the planning department for almost a decade and a half, and I was so proud. I did the affordable housing for the city of Omaha. I am pleased that we renovated and created an area in North Omaha that I think has improved. I think there's a lot of work to do, and part of the reason why I'm here is because I never dreamed that something like this would impact me. But I want to bring up this right here. How do you, oh, there we go. Can you see that? Mm-hmm. All right, there's been some questions on the groups. So have you already designated these blocks as blighted?
That's what we're here to do today.
Oh, that is what you are here to do today. Thank you.
It's only a portion of those blocks, though. It's not the entire.
Yeah, a portion of the blocks, but you have to use the blocks to do the study. Am I incorrect on that?
The census tract data from the blocks is used to calculate, or to assess.
Thank you. You know what you're talking about. Okay. When I worked with the planning department, I always looked up to them. I really did. All right. I looked at them as with integrity, with ethics, all right, how easy it was for them to go to North Omaha without any argument, because rehabilitation is needed so badly there. I want to know what changed. The planning department used to look outside of the box. Now all I see is apartments, apartments, and more apartments. And the study to blight. I did studies all the time for the city of Omaha, all the time. You've got to be kidding me that they're trying to do this way. I did a market study, and I have questions about this study that I think need to be answered. It needs to be clarified, and the people who are here when wondering about it need to have answered. I think some of the answers to this and why you got here will answer what I think is pretty obvious here. All right, we know this city was approached. So is this study truly about blighting the area, or is the study and everything that's going on today because they approached the city? Were you planning on blighting this area before Lockwood approached the city with it? Anybody have an answer to that?
You talk to us, please.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Can you get us an answer?
We'll hear your testimony, and then we'll
Okay. All right. In the letters and in the country club meeting we had, which the city planning department and anything like this, there needs to be more disclosure, more transparency to the tenants, to people, and a little bit more time than what we're given for things. All right? They said and I'm not going to go into this. All right? But I will ask, instead of using it, the designation when we get to it as a mall, please call it a business park, because that is what it has successfully diverted to. All right? Let's talk about the designation and the stuff that was used to do this with. All right? They said that the area, to make it TIF funds, had to show some percentage of blight. They're saying that the population decrease of these two areas lost 4.5%. All right? So I looked that up. Does that really mean an area is blighted? According to what I found out when I really looked at this, all right, it says the area has experienced a demographic shift to how homes are occupied. Historically, they had a higher density of multi-generation and larger family households. Over the last decade, as older families have moved out, they have increasingly been replaced by single professionals, residents, and affiliated with the nearby UNMC and VA Medical Center and students. Even the housing units remain occupied. The total household population drops when a 4-person family is replaced by a 1 or 2-person household. So that does not designate a blighted area, even though it's part of being compliant. All right? I'd like to know where in the world they got the unemployment rate that they're telling us. I could find it nowhere. I've been in real estate for over 30 years. I could not find that percentage. All right? I'd like to know what data it was pulled from. Let's talk about fair to average. How many of you folks live in a house that's 40 years or older? Thank you. All right, is your house fair? Or would you say it's at least average? Because our area, and I did real estate, all right, I drove the area to see. These houses aren't fair. I lived in North Omaha, 21st and Lake. You want to go east of where I live, or north of where I lived? I'll tell you what's fair, I'll tell you what's average, and I'll tell you what's above average. These houses, in the scheme of a CMA or market analysis, would be deemed average. I would say 99 to 98% of the area, the houses are average, not fair in that area. All right? Why is the subject of this property study at the very edge of it? All right, that's another question I have. This whole thing was implemented over one thing, the Center Business District. So the fact that Morton Meadows wasn't added to that is really suspicious here, because I'm not going to argue that the per capita income might be $38,000. But Morton Meadows, which sits right across the street from the targeted property that everybody's looking at, their PCI is $48,000. All right, I understand, and bear with me one second, why they negated the VA and the country club that sits just to the east, and left Field Club out of it. I mean, every blighted area has a country club like a half a block away, right? Anyway, the fact that they did not include Morton Meadows, and by the way, Morton Meadows' unemployment rate ranges from 2.0 to 2.5. All right? I know for a fact if Morton Meadows had been included in that study of the project that they're actually after across the street, and the statistical data was re-evaluated, this area would not be deemed blighted. All right? And I hate to protest something like this, because I like Don a lot. I love the people in the planning department. The other thing is, they were really hesitant in telling you guys 500 units. Okay? They had no problem going to the country club and telling us 500 units. All right? Which is their goal. But I like what that jury dude that was here said. And I wrote it down. He said going vertical is more costly. Maybe they need to buy them all, and they can make their apartments. Nobody's stopping them. All right? This isn't why I'm here. I'm here to stop that. All right? There's nothing stopping them from buying that property. What I'm telling you is they want to take advantage, get these funds so they can go vertical because it costs and they get more money. Obviously, not taking CRA, buying them all, might not warrant them properties. But maybe the developer needs to quit being so stupidly greedy.
All right, Mary, I'm going to ask you to wrap here. We're getting a little personal here, and
All right, I'm sorry.
I understand your
One other thing is, I went on the site of the developer. I saw no apartments. I saw a lot of business development, but I saw no apartments. And there was a mention of the crossroads. And I'm concerned about that too. Where is the crossroads at? Anyway, thank you guys.
Thank you, Mary. All right, any other opponents that wish to speak? Name and address, please.
Elaine Heath, 2417 North 92nd Avenue, Apartment 18, 68134. I represent and own Elaine's resumes at 1941 South 42nd Street, Suite 123, 68105. And I speak solely as a tenant of the historic, the center office businesses. And I've been renting at the Center Mall for 40 years or more. In the memo from David K. Franslaw, it says the center has substantial vacant space, vaults. There are 118 businesses. The center business offices have 83% occupancy rate. Lots of business offices are business offices, they provide service. And in the building, we have numerous nonprofits and small businesses who provide vital services for people from diversified backgrounds. The rents and leases are month to month, year to year, or even longer. They are in moderation, and many current services or businesses will not be able to afford to move to other locations. And when I ask for any maintenance from management, they react and help me quickly. Management or the owners of the building are congenial, humble, and professional. Some of the services not mentioned before are disability support services, parent training and support agencies, janitorial services, addiction, substance abuse support, including AA rehab. There are very many, I'll say many, counseling services. There are cultural businesses, Latino, African American, and others. There's telemarketing service to sell used cars for less to people in need. There are 5 churches who who provides spiritual support. There's a banking service, accounting services, job hunting and resume writing, seeking employment support, tax preparation, computer repair service, ethnic hairstylist, community support for marginal populations, and perhaps some VA services, a dance studio, music services, a bridge club playing seniors, a bunch of them, and many, many other businesses that I'm not familiar with. I talked to one business owner who impacts 1,000 people in need annually. And I personally estimated that the service businesses at the center office building impacts or helps 100,000 people and their extended families. Yesterday, I talked to one business tenant in the building and asked what is her estimate of how many people are impacted due to the Center Mall tenants, and her answer was 100,000. Anything I said today, I speak alone as Elaine Heath, a business owner and a tenant in the center office building.
Thank you, Elaine.
Thank you.
Any other opponents?
All right. Denise Olson, 2119 South 38th Avenue. I'm here as a homeowner in this potential area here. And I learned about this via word of mouth, which I think speaks to the strong commitment neighbors have to each other in this area, in this neighborhood. And also to raise the issue, and hopefully I'm not duplicating. If I am, I'm sorry. The tax increment financing that would potentially be part of this is an issue for me. When I bought my house in 2003, I paid $100,000 for it. That's not what the city valued it at the time, of course. But nowadays, as I just got my property valuation this week, I believe, or maybe on the weekend, I'm valued at $182,000, and that's up 7% from just last year. So to me, whatever the definition of blighted is, I don't think this neighborhood fits that. The homes, for the most part, seem to be well kept. You do have your occasional issue, but also June of 2022, just about this time, there was a big storm in the area, and most of these houses, including mine, new roofs, new gutters, new siding. So things have been improved, and I agree with Mary. I don't think these things are in poor condition. Let's see here. So I think that's all I have to say. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Denise. Any other opponents?
Good afternoon. Tabitha Carlson. I reside at 4220 Shirley Street, Omaha, Nebraska, 68105. I do, not to be redundant, but I do want to point out that I reside 2 blocks from the Center Mall. I also work in the Center Mall, where I have for almost a decade. And my home is in Morton Meadows, which is excluded from the study area. So I do want to point out, also, I already sent a letter that most of you have already received, but I do want to read, because I want to emphasize a couple things, specifically pointing out that I don't think the areas in question meet the true designation for CRA. I don't think they've proven that they meet the criteria as defined by the state statutes. So first of all, I do think it's questionable that the Center Mall was only studied areas south of that, nothing north. That would include Morton Meadows. Mary already covered that. You've heard that complaint. But had the survey area symmetrically covered land in all directions for the Center Mall, that would have included Morton Meadows, likely Field Club, and that would have altered the aggregate data, and the inclusion of the stable, higher value properties would have likely made it such that it doesn't meet the threshold. I think earlier when we were talking about the Drury property, I believe it was Mr. Pate, you said you don't really like surveys, that survey from J.D. Powers and Associates. You said yourself, surveys can be made to say whatever you want them to say. I would argue this is evidence of that with the geographic boundaries that were drawn for this particular land study. So at minimum, I asked the planning board to consider redoing the study area where the center mall and the area yellow in question is more centralized, including areas, in all directions. I think that would satisfy a lot of concerns that we have. And I, quite frankly, don't think that any of the criteria would be met had that happened. The other thing that I'd like to point out is most of the concerns I voiced in my letter you've already heard, so I'm not going to be redundant, but I do want to read something on behalf of a neighbor that could not be here today. So this is on behalf of Allie Barton, who resides at 4219 Walnut Street. As a new resident to Morton Meadows and an attorney, I think she brings a unique perspective here. She also shared this feedback with you, but I think it's important to have this on record. She stated, I'm writing to respectfully urge you and the planning board to vote against designating the area at 42nd and Center as a CRA. The developers have not demonstrated that this area satisfies the statutory definition of blighted under the Nebraska statute 182103, which is a prerequisite for the valid CRA designation. The materials presented to the community fail to, and these are the materials we received at the town hall on May 21st. These fail to demonstrate that the area meets the requirements specifically under the statute 182103, section 4A. Specifically, the developers have identified no evidence showing the presence of any of the factors listed in that subsection, nor have they shown that the proposed area or any factor in that Nebraska statute 182103 4A, quote, substantially impairs or arrests the sound growth of the community, retards the provision of housing accommodations, or constitutes an economic or social liability and is detrimental to the public health, safety, morals, or welfare in its present condition and use. We argue that criteria has not been proven or demonstrated by anything we've seen thus far. She continues, instead, the developers rely exclusively on factors set forth in the Nebraska statute 182103-4, section B. But the statute is clear that criteria both A and B must be satisfied. This omission is significant. The record lacks any showing that the conditions described in the Nebraska statute 182103-4A exist here at all, much less that they rise to the level that substantially impairs the community or harms the public. For these reasons, the proposed CRA designation is inappropriate here. Moreover, the developer has indicated that nearly all apartment units would be offered at market rates, which does not meaningfully advance the goals of the city's master plan, including the Housing Affordability Action Plan. I was at the meeting. I know we're not talking about the project, and I quote what was said is we will try to offer some affordable housing. So accordingly, we ask that you deny the motion today to consider this area a CRA. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tabitha. Any other opponents?
That's a tough act to follow. Good afternoon. I'll try to be brief. I think everybody did just a wonderful job. My name is Elizabeth Monahan. I reside at 4023 Marinda Street, Omaha 68105. With my wife who spoke earlier, and I'm a neighbor. I live in the neighborhood. So I guess the only thing I really want to make sure that we're imparting, we're not talking about their project. It's about the CRA designation, and specifically about the data that was provided. I don't know if you guys got a way fancier packet than the public got, but I mean, when we're looking at this map, it's just evident that it's like gerrymandering, that this was drawn specifically to benefit the developer and not the city of Omaha. Like, it's unconscionable, it's unethical, and it certainly doesn't, I think, advance the city of Omaha's, goals, or nor would it be a justifiable use of taxpayer money. I guess the only other thing is, there are a lot of red flags, with Lockwood Development's campaign contributions to city council members. I think it does, it raises a lot of concerns. So in the 2024 cycle, they are making significant contributions to council members that you report to that would be voting on this if this pushes forward. The board must not act as a clearinghouse for a process that appears heavily compromised by developer influence, and the appearance of a conflict of interest here is undeniable. Because the data is completely unsighted, the boundaries are intentionally manipulated, and the process is clouded by these ethical red flags, we request that the board flatly deny the proposal today.
Okay, thank you. Okay,
Good
okay,
afternoon.
before you get started, any other opponents that are going to speak? You might be the last one. Okay. One more? Okay. Yeah, come on.
You guys like to come down?
If you're going to speak, I'd like you to come forward at least so that we can.
So I'll be brief. Good afternoon. I'm Cammie Watkins, 1941 South 42nd Street, Suite 380. I am a tenant for Inclusive Communities, which is inside the center. Because what we're talking about here is essentially policy and the obligation, and I understand that some of the ways of what you're able to do in this circumstance are limited because it's about following the policy. And what I appreciated was the speaker, two people before me, really laid out where this policy ask of the community redevelopment area are not being met. And the same issues that we face with the jury, of which we all had the pleasure of getting to hear, and I was thankful to be able to be part of that process. Even though there was testimony and really good reasoning to state that they could fall within, the policy does not allow for them to be designated to receive the TIF based off of the city's policy. And that's simply what we are asking as both tenants and residents of this area. The policy based off of, and what Don alluded to, is a long list of requirements for a CRA. No one is going to deny that the center currently needs renovation. It absolutely needs support, but that is one building in an entire area that is now trying to be designated. The area does not need the designation, and it does not meet the qualifications of the policy to meet that designation. So we're asking you to vote no on the policy designation, or at a minimum, consider holding this over till we can consider the other pieces around the survey, the potential aspects that were left out, and the information that was brought to us as the residents versus the information that was brought to you all as the board that made the decision around this specific area that's in question to be designated as a CRA.
Did you attend the neighborhood meeting that?
I did.
Okay. And did you get a chance to ask questions at that?
I did.
Okay, but you didn't get satisfactory answers?
I did not. Thank you.
All right. Any other opponents, please come forward.
Hi, I'm Nicole Stanford, 4546 Shirley Street. And then I am just here to kind of not really reiterate all of the other important things that everyone has clearly noted. I just want to make sure that whatever ends up happening to this site and to this building is thoughtful and appropriate for the location and for our community. The visual concept and everything of the building is nice. We need more affordable housing. We need to grow up. We need all of those things, and they're important. It just doesn't serve that specific site. I think we need it all throughout the city, but we need something different there. And I think that there just needs to be a pause because something great can be created, but this is just not the spot for it. I do think that it would end up being a waste of funds, and it's also going to take away from our community, and I think that's more of a loss than anything that you could gain with the new proposed concept in that specific location. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other opponents? Are you an opponent?
She doesn't want to speak. She wants to deliver. Just give it to you.
Yeah, just give it to Eric. Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. Any other opponents that wish to speak then?
One more.
One more, okay.
Stephen Houston, 4562 Walnut Street, 68106. I've lived 90% of my life, 69 years, in Field Club or Morton Meadows. I love this community. These are beautiful people. You, whatever letter you gave them just now, I'm sure it causes you pain because this is the soul of, you are the soul of that neighborhood. And you're the most impacted. I hope you take her into full consideration. Why did Douglas County Assessor take up the Center Mall value $3.7 million this year? $3.7 million. It went from $6 million to $9.8. Why would that happen? Dilapidated? Wrong. If I were to look at what they're asking for, Don's pencils out here and everything else that you said is absolutely correct. When you look at South Omaha, the 2010 to 2020 census that was commissioned by Olson for UNO, 19% growth in the population, the largest in the state. North Omaha, minus 11%. The rest of the Douglas County areas census tract, 1%. State of Nebraska is 7%. South Omaha is growing. It's the last place that you should be handing out charity to our corporate welfare. The other is $44,000 is the PCI in that neighborhood if you take into consideration all the other adjoining neighborhoods. VA put $80 million into that property. They have 3,000 employees. 3,000 employees that walk across the street. Randy, they've got to be renting space from you. We know they are. And in your flyers, by the way, it sounds like 205,000 square feet are leased out, which would be $1.8 million of cash flow to this owner, who must be NP Dodge, as they partner with First Management, because Randy's tired of managing this. He's done an incredible job. He's a superhuman being. I've known him for a long time, and he has taken care of these people for years. This is not personal. This is, why is TIF altering and confusing the marketplace? As Mr. Bagley at Lockwood told me at the Field Club meeting, we wouldn't do a development without TIF. The market has been distorted. And we're continuing to take this money. If this happens and you take that and bulldoze that property down from $10 million to $800,000, that's minus $2 million to our students, to our children, to our future, that you'll take out of it with property tax relief for Lockwood and McGrath North. That's what you want to do, is shift from the poor to those that are not poor. This is anti-Robin Hood. Please don't do this. Do not designate it as a CRA. You're going to hurt our children. Norris has 1,100 students. If you take away $2 million, that's $2,000 per student. Our math, science, and language scores have fallen off the cliff. And they're going to fall further if we continue to take money and starve our children out of the things they need to be educated. They need to be critical thinkers so they can stand here and be able to work with you in the future to be able to be critical thinkers. I designate, please do not pass this as a CRA. And the reason is you need to hit the brakes, because if it goes to the city council, it's going to be approved.
Thanks, Stephen. All right, any other opponents? Seeing none, I'm going to close the public hearing. John, you have a lot to unpack. You come forward. And Don, I'm going to ask you to come up here in a bit, too.
John Blumenthal, 1601 Dodge Street, Omaha, Nebraska. I'm not going to address every point that we've heard, and I'll be happy to, again, answer any questions you have in response to some points. I may refer to Don, who's better on numbers, obviously, than I am. Ms. Watkins is still here. I wanted to address one thing that she said about holding over and pausing. Typically, when there is a dispute that merits holding over, where there could be further discussion on the issue at hand, I'd consider it. Here, again, we did host a meeting with sufficient notice to everybody. We provided a comfortable environment for everybody to come to on a Thursday night, spent time trying to answer every questions. Although I may not have answered questions to Ms. Watkins' satisfaction, I did stay afterwards to talk to her. So Yes, I did. We've talked afterwards briefly.
All right, that's
we don't have to. I don't want to address. I didn't mean to address her directly, but we tried to address whatever item, whatever we're going to find some agreement on now. As to the CRA at hand, again, we meet the state requirements, and that's what we're here for. This was submitted pursuant to state requirements. We meet the state requirements. Some of the items you're hearing about the use of the building go to private leasing of the building. Again, that's a private leasing for the use. We are going to address that. We are going to have meetings with the tenants to address how we would move forward. So again, it's a little premature to talk about what's going to happen, but we have to respect the rights of those tenants as we proceed. So we intend to do that.
I was going to ask you about that because I think that's an important factor here. You've got 112 tenants in this, so it's not. You got a lot of tenants that you're going to have to.
Yeah, absolutely. And so what we're going to have to do is meet with the tenants, figure out a plan for which leases expire, which tenants are planning to stay, and which tenants may want to move on. So we will have to do that because we are any purchase would be subject to those leases, and we understand that. So we can't just go and evict tenants, have no plan to do that.
You have right now. You've under contract, like an LOI or something.
We have a purchase agreement.
You have a purchase agreement with those provisions in there that you need to contact or be in contact with the tenants.
We don't, pursuant to the purchase agreement, we don't have to contact the tenants. But we would, of course, do that as part of our due diligence, as part of our decision whether to move forward. And frankly, we're going to have more meetings for rezoning and for TIF if the CRA is approved. So we don't anticipate that we're done meeting with the neighbors, with the tenants. We're going to have more of those meetings, and we hope to have productive discussions.
When's your purchase agreement expire?
We've got about another, I want to say, 3 months of due diligence, which we may need to extend. I think, and I've got may have longer for government approvals. I have to look back at that. Okay. I'm not trying to be evasive. I
No, that's fine.
don't remember.
Just trying to get an idea of your timeline.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah. Okay. Anything else, John?
We're excited. We're excited about the project. The question today is, do we meet the necessary designation for community redevelopment area? We think we clearly do. We think the city's study shows that. And again, what's interesting is even if you kept the building use as it is, and I'm not suggesting that's going to be our intent, but if you were going to do that and repair the building, you would likely need TIF to try and keep any upkeep of the building and get a developer interested in the kind of return on investment on a private investment that this will take. And so that's why we are asking for the CRA designation.
John, a couple questions for you.
Yes, sir.
You started to go down the path of deferred maintenance on the existing facility. Any idea what the dollar volume of that schedule looks like?
Again, I'm looking back just to see if we've got a yes or a no, but I don't know that we've got a dollar amount on it. One of the, we did not indicate that the building is in structural failure. That's not a term I've used and isn't necessarily the standard for whether it's TIF, but again, the building, just the age of the building alone is going to suggest that the building is going to need upkeep and repair.
Do you know how many acres this site is?
Site sits on 6 acres. 6.6 acres.
Including the parking?
Yes, sir.
John, has there been any early discussion with your client about the potential valuation of a potential development on this?
We haven't really had that discussion yet. Again, we believe that's premature unless it is part of a community redevelopment area. That's the next conversation to have, and will be part of any TIF conversation we have if it's any area which supports TIF.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Let's see, Don, please, would you come forward? Got a couple questions for you. So there were some questions about how you arrived at this area as designated CRA areas. How did you draw these lines? What was the?
How do we draw the boundaries?
Yeah,
well, the criteria in the state law is based much of it, well, not in the Part B blighted is based on census data. So we use census boundaries to draw our study area. And obviously, if the Center Mall is the site that was the impetus for us doing the study, we definitely need it to be in the census block group that contains that site. So that's kind of the starting point. It had to be Census Tract 3401, Block Group 1, because that's the block group, census block group, that contains that site. From there, we look around and see what other development possibilities are there. So we expanded it to include the boundary for the block group to the west of it. Could we have included some of the neighborhoods to the north? We could have. Would it have complied then? Probably not. Morton Meadows is a different neighborhood than the neighborhood south of Center Street. You know, you hear about living on the wrong side of the tracks. Well, I wouldn't exactly call this area that. I'm not saying this is that. What I'm saying is that there is a boundary where one neighborhood has one value versus another neighborhood that has another value, or in terms of per capita income. The U.S. Census Bureau says the per capita income in here is lower, in these two, is lower than the rest of the city. Whereas you go across the street into Morton Meadows, no, it probably wouldn't be. I don't have the figure in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that Morton Meadows is a probably higher per capita income block group than these two block groups. Bottom line is you need to draw the boundary somewhere, and the question is, does the site that served as the impetus for the study, is it sitting within an area that complies with state law for CRA designation? And we examined the data in the neighborhood, and we believe it does. The data in terms of population loss, that's from the 2010 census and the 2020 census. The data on per capita income, that's from the 5-year ACS U.S. Census data. The U.S. Census data is our source. We don't use secondary sources. We go straight to the primary data source. You have to draw the boundary somewhere. Different neighborhoods right next door to each other can be very different, and they are in this case.
Is this kind of the standard that you've used in other areas that have been that they applied for CRA designation? I mean, is this the same?
It is the same approach
that you've taken.
I have a question for Don. Don, I'm going to ask you a question. Obviously, the Center Mall is within a census block group. You took a look at the block group to the west. Is it accurate to say that you looked at those two because that's where redevelopment potential exists? And maybe that's, again, you do it by census block group, so there's no reason to go to the block groups. But could a reason being not to go to Morton Meadows is because there's no redevelopment opportunity?
That's a valid point as well. Morton Meadows is almost solidly single-family home, long-established neighborhood, just like the areas that we excluded in these two block groups. There isn't much development potential there. In fact, usually when we get a request like this, we will limit the analysis to the one block group that the request site is located within. It was after we talked with our long-range planning division, and looked at the existing land uses, the existing zoning, said, you know, we better look at the area to the west as well. Some of the frontage on Center to the north looks like it could potentially be redevelopment area. But again, the data, when you cross the street and go into a different neighborhood and a different census block group, the data doesn't support it there. So anyway, often we'll focus on just one block group. Sometimes we'll look at an entire census tract, which includes 1 to 4 block groups. We try to be consistent. We try to be as narrow as possible. That's also why we ended up with the yellow area rather than trying to designate the entirety of these two block groups. And we try to be consistent.
And Don, who compiles these studies and who does that for the city? Who compiles the data and drives the studies?
I do.
For the CRAs, you do. And there's, I think, and it's just coming from the Census Bureau.
Well,
that's all.
I do windshield surveys. I go to the county assessor data to look at the cumulative, for a given area, the cumulative building condition rankings. Excellent, good, very good, fair, average, poor, worn out. So we use windshield surveys, we use assessor's data, and we use U.S. Census Bureau data. And again, the data on per capita income, population, gain or loss, unemployment, we get that directly from the census. I would note that unemployment in these two block groups did not meet the threshold, but you only need to meet one. So the age of the buildings, the per capita income, and the population loss, that's 3. Unemployment in this area is not that high. It needs to be more than 120% of the statewide unemployment rate. In this case, these two block groups, no.
Good.
Any other questions?
Thank you, Don.
I'm close.
Okay. I close the public hearing unless you guys want to bring someone else up or anything. No? Okay. If not, close the public hearing. Eric, please.
I don't have anything to add. Staff recommends approval.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, Kathy, please record the vote.
Sullivan,
Yes.
Rupert. Yes. Morris,
Yes.
Sotolongo. Mr. Chair,
Yes.
approved,
Thank you.
5 to
No,
0.
Thank you. So the community that is here, thank you for coming out. Honestly, we appreciate you coming out. This will go to city council, so you have an opportunity to go to city council as well. Any project development that occurs would also have to probably come back to us as well. So this was just a CRA designation at this point. So, and continue, John, continue to have the dialogue that you need to. Okay. Thank you. Okay. I think we have one more, right? Two more. 3 more? 2 more. Okay. All right, the next item is item 17, KC 1026-125. The applicant is Johnny Dugan. The request is rezoning from R435 to TOD4 SFA. The location is 4617 Davenport Street. I'm going to pause just a second, let the room clear.
Hey, John.
If you could take the conversations outside, I'd appreciate it. Okay, may we hear from the applicant, please?
Hello, my name is Johnny Dugan, 13526 Grover Street, Omaha, Nebraska 68144. I'm essentially applying for a rezone from a R4 zone.
John.
Pardon me.
Can you?
Please, if you're in the back, please take your conversations out in the hallway. Thank you. Sorry, Johnny.
I'm essentially applying for a rezoning from an R4 zoning district to a TOD zoning district to go from what would be applicable for today to build a single-family home residence to 2 single-family residences and a townhome use. The current area consists of a lot of single-family, small multifamily, apartments, duplexes, and townhomes currently. This is a vacant lot that has been vacant for years, and we're looking to improve it with 2 housing structures. And we prefer a for-sale product for this. We have engaged the neighborhood. We have sent out a neighborhood letter within the past month and hosted a public meeting at Panera to see if anyone would come. I also spoke with several neighbors on the phone with their concerns for it, and then I have 3 letters of approval for other neighbors. So trying to rezone this. It's a vacant lot. Would love to see more housing units in general for the city of Omaha and in line with the master plan and what the city has broadcasted for more units in general. This is a vacant lot, and I think it'd be a great spot for a townhome in Dundee. Any questions?
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Any other proponents that wish to speak? See none. Any opponents? Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing. Eric?
Yeah, so obviously the rezoning is master plan compliant. We didn't have it on consent previously. A previous rezoning case had some opposition, so we weren't sure. And you never know. We set some of that before the correspondence comes in over the last couple of days. So thank you for being patient and waiting through. Staff recommends approval of the rezoning from R435 to TOD4 SFA.
Thank you. Okay, do I have a motion?
Motion for approval of the rezoning from R435 to TOD4 SFA.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert? Yes. Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved 5-0.
Thank you. All right, our last final item is items 23, KC 1123-273. The applicant is Talented 10th Group. The request is approval of a major amendment to the PUR, Planned Unit Redevelopment Overlay District. The location is 3204 North 16th Street. May we hear from the applicant?
Don Curry, 3204 North 16th Street. I'm here representing the Talented 10th Group. I am the developer and general contractor on the project as well. So I am here in reference to what I perceive to be a minor amendment to the PUR, but here we are, it's considered to be a major amendment. And how I got here on my end as the developer and the GC was cost overruns, just from the standpoint of this being value engineering. So instead of going up, I'll use this as a point of reference as well. So this is the first project that I put up at 3324 North 16th Street. And this is, again, it's a stacked triplex, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, each unit, and the rents are affordable by pure definition. We're talking about 1,300 square feet units, and the rents are 1,500 a square foot, 1,500 per floor, rather. So this building is the first one. We got the occupancy certificate. Stood here before you last year, if I'm not mistaken, in reference to the number of windows that I reduced in this particular project. So at the end of the day, I bit the bullet, had to go ahead and spend the additional funds, and barely made it through to get the building occupied, which we completed it. Here we are again, and again, this is all based on the PUR from this perspective, right? And from what I gather, I wouldn't have to go through the PUR if the city code was updated, because it's a setback thing, right? And also the parking too. To where, I moved here from Chicago when I was 8, spent pretty much my formative years in 16th, off of 16th Street, this exact neighborhood, one across the street rather. So I know how the neighborhood basically has went through its ebbs and flows, and I see what's to come as well. So I've made a significant investment. This building is insured for $1.2 million, and now we're to the project at hand. This is the front of the building as well. So this is the front facade, and this is how we got here, of 3204 North 16th Street. So what I used, instead of going up again 2 stories with the thin brick, just based on the cost again, I decided that, okay, what's the best way for me to get the same aesthetics, but yet not veer too far away from the PUR. So I found a panel. It's basically mirrors thin brick, if you would. Faux brick is what they call it, so to speak. So that set me back 10 grand just on the panels, and then another 3 grand just based on my relationships with the subs that installed it. Whereas if I'd have went with the thin brick and went up 2 stories, that would have at least been $40,000 to $30,000, which I did not have. So again, you can't tell the difference, in my opinion, between this and thin brick. But again, it serves its purpose, and the neighbors in the community, which is why no one showed up, they love the building. No one's complaining about it. They know what value I'm adding to the community, and to know that 16th Street is actually a corridor that you all have designated for redevelopment. For me to, again, to be here, to know that I'm making a significant investment on 16th Street by myself. There's not been any development on 16th Street, and I'm going to go from Lake to 16th and Emmett. There's not been any new construction housing in that corridor at all. So someone mentioned earlier that, it's a situation in which we hope that we can work with the Department of Planning in reference to our projects that, I don't feel that way right now because I don't think we even should have got here. This could have been a conversation that I had with the folks in the planning department versus being told, take it down. Told via email, I don't care what you're telling me in so many words, take it down.
Donnie,
So-
let me ask you a question about that. So what you've got right now, is it the same that was originally proposed?
No, it's not. It's
Okay.
not. That's why we're here.
All right,
What
so-
was proposed
all right,
was thin
so
brick.
why not, other than costs, right?
That's the main reason as a developer, a general
Okay,
contractor.
so did you have
cost.
those cost estimates at the original meeting that we had with regards to this? You had a budget,
Yeah, I did.
right? Did you include the anticipated cost for this?
The price of the thin brick, we started this project, I want to say, a year after financing was received, based on me wanting to complete 3324 initially.
Okay.
So instead of starting them both simultaneously, I wanted to cut my teeth to make sure that I had the right people in place to complete 3324.
Okay.
Then we backed into 3204. So by the time that we're pricing everything out, material costs have increased, labor costs have increased. So for me to get to this point right now to where we're literally probably 90% away from completing the building, and I'm up against, and thank goodness that the financing folks at Front Porch were gracious enough to say, hey, you're approaching 3 years as far as construction costs, but we're going to give you extensions. Just keep going. Just show us that you can finish the project. I have 3 tenants already lined up. I was planning on calling for the occupancy inspection the week of June 15th. Tenants moving in July 1st. But here we are.
So when you changed your construction or your materials to value engineer or to cut the costs on the project, did you even think about what the repercussions would be as a result of that?
I did, but from the standpoint of I didn't think I'd end up here, I thought it would be a minor amendment. I mean, and it's not clear, like, as to, at least from my perspective, what's minor and what's major when it comes to amendments. Okay. So it wasn't as if I just went out.
That's when you should have picked up the phone, called Eric or someone from the planning department and say, here's what I'm thinking about doing. What do you think? Instead of just going forward with it without them approving it.
I mean, there's nothing I can say to that. Other than me knowing that aside from what I'm looking to accomplish with this particular project and knowing that I'm racing against several other factors, which is primarily finishing the project and having enough money to finish the project, when I reached out at that point in time, I did.
Will Front Porch authorize any other additional funds?
No, not at all. I mean, I had to go out to friends and family to get to this point because of material costs. They were the first stop. For sure they were.
Okay.
So it's not as if I'm out here trying to be gangster. I'm just trying to finish a project and provide quality, affordable housing. These units are unique just based on the size.
Yeah.
So
I get totally what you're trying to do, and it's good. It's great. It's great initiative that you have on your part. But
yeah,
you
guys
should
can
have
say
known
it.
what your total project costs were going to be when you started this project, and if there were any changes to it, you that varied from the original plan, you should have reached out and gotten approval from it. That's the good business way of doing it.
No doubt. So I mean, again, we all live and learn. But Mr. Pate, you can ask any general contractor, any development that there's nothing when it comes to look at the crossroads. Let's stop there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm nowhere near on that level, but they had a budget that was approved, correct? And they came back and said we need more money. So to tell me what you just told me, like, and we're only talking about pennies compared to that particular project. Pennies.
Johnny, a couple questions about your project. Is this the second iteration of this building? Is that how I understand it?
This is building number 2,
Building
project number two.
Very similar building,
Yes.
correct? In terms of design, layout, et cetera.
Yes, except for a 3-car garage.
And you mentioned the valuation on the first one. What were the hard construction costs for the second iteration of the building?
They both were planned. One came in at 732, which was 3324 North 16th Street. 3204 came in at around 850, 820.
Around 850?
Yeah, and that's based on adding the garage, and it's a much wider building.
Say 820.
Yeah.
What was the retainage that you would retained for unforeseen circumstances or any type of variables in the project.
Budget was too tight for me to set aside any type of additional funds to basically contingency is what you're getting at.
Contingency,
Yeah, there was no contingency. I'm purely rolling the dice to say that I'm going to hit my numbers.
Same thing on the first one?
Same exact thing. So for me to basically have made it to this point, and the picture that I just showed you all, the video was the interior. So for me to get to this point, I'm patting myself on the back to know that I didn't have a contingency, and right now the only issue that I had was how much money I outlaid for thin brick to go up 2 stories. You know, I'm there. In a perfect scenario, no GC or no general contractor, well, I'll say developer rather, right? The GC, you know, it's a totally separate arm of business, but from a development standpoint, come on. I mean, no, if it was a perfect science and an exact science, everyone would do it, and it's not. It takes a lot of intestinal fortitude to do what, especially where the neighborhood I'm in. And I know the sense of pride that the people get because they know me over there about what I'm doing. So to have to actually stand here, and I get what you're saying, but it still would have been the same outcome, in my opinion.
Spent the money. You wouldn't have spent the money.
I would have had to somewhere along the line.
Told, no, don't do this. This isn't going to work. Right.
Yeah, but what are we comparing it to? Because we're talking about, again, semantics. We're talking about, again, aesthetics. When is the last time any of you have driven down to that area to say that you're holding me to the same standard as the homes that are across the street from where I'm at? There's a vacant lot that's right next, 3208 North 16th Street. It's a vacant lot. It's probably about 10,000 square feet. It's a dump site. And I'm now responsible for the upkeep of that lot. It's a dump site.
Yeah, that's, yeah.
But Don, this seems like the same conversation we had last time you were here, and I called you afterwards, and I commended you for the work that you're doing. But the one thing I said to you on that call was, don't hide anything.
What was I hiding?
I'm talking about this right now.
I wasn't hiding anything. I reached out to these guys and said, hey, this is what I'm doing based on, but we're about what? I did it maybe a month ago or so.
But you put up you changed the exterior of what was approved before calling the planning board.
Okay.
Or planning department.
So you guys have your pre-meeting, and it's obviously that Jed just apologized to me and said it's nothing personal. So you've already made your decision.
That's not
Don,
true.
I think we continue through. Let's see if there's some proponents and opponents, and
We understand the issue. We understand the issue. We appreciate that. So
You got. How many of you have been in my place before, as far as development or being a general contractor?
Oh, I haven't been a general contractor, but I know a lot of general contractors. I'm a lender. I understand the GC business.
It's one thing to say that you're a lender,
and every
but
GC that I've done business with always has a budget, and they have to adhere to the budget.
yeah, but they get more money than I've gotten.
No,
I'm
they don't.
Sure they do.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Not necessarily.
If we would have them do a walkthrough and look at what I've done, they'll come back and tell you it's 1 point some odd million, whereas I'm able to get it done for 8.
The GCs that I've always done business, if there's any changes, they always have the contingency budget, for one thing, included in their budget. But if there's any changes that need to be approved that they can't handle, they always come and ask permission first, no matter who it is. Something you should have done. It's a business experience that you have to get your hands around that, Donnie.
I'll never do another PUR again.
Yeah.
I'll put it to you that way, because as long as I'm able to be told what I should do with the funds, it's not fair. I'll never do another PUR again after this.
I don't know what's not fair. We had a PUR at 22nd and Lothrop that was on consent agenda that was approved earlier today.
I'm just
You're not
speaking to
being
my
held to a
project.
different standard. Let's go through proponents, opponents, and then we can really get into the details of why we are recommending denial.
All right. I'm going to thank you for now. And then I may ask you to come back up here, but I'm going to see if there's any other proponents or opponents at this point. So at this time, are there any other proponents that wish to speak? Seeing none, are there any opponents? What are you folks here? Are you here just to, you're not here for this case?
I was here for the Cedarhurst thing.
Which one?
Cedarhurst development.
Oh, that was on consent agenda, which was one of the first things that we addressed, and all that's been done. Which one was that? It was approved. It was approved.
Michael talked.
Yeah. Okay, no opponents on this? What are you here for, sir?
I was here for the Cunningham addition
Mike could talk to you on that.
Yeah,
one,
Mike
too.
took, that was
That
taken
laid
care,
over.
that was laid over too. Yeah, so Mike will talk to you about that. That's already been taken care of. Okay, no opponents, close the public hearing. Eric?
Yeah, so I guess just to continue the conversation, obviously Don is upset with the PUR process, but it is a very specific plan that is approved by city council, and you do need to build what is approved. And obviously with the front elevation and the materials and some of the details around the windows have not, they have not complied with the approved plan. And so when we were made aware of the conversations in the past month, that is not something that we believe is a minor amendment. In fact, with the major amendment, we're not even supporting the proposed changes that Don is wanting to do. While I'm sympathetic about costs, I understand there's rising costs in construction and everything, but that doesn't mean that you can just ignore the approved plan and the process in place. So I don't know to what level of detail. We do have Jed Moulton here as far as the architect and specific details to assist if we want to touch on any of those. But we are not comfortable as a planning department in the city with our official recommendation report of lowering that bar with the faux brick and the vinyl siding. I mean, the original plan had 2 floors of brick veneer, 3.5 inch, and then all the details around the window. So that is where we stand, and obviously we can answer any questions.
I have a comment. And Don, you don't need to get back up, but I'm going to address something you said so the board hears it. You said who makes the decision, I think you asked, who makes the decision on you being back in front of this board? Why can't it be a minor changes? It's my decision ultimately to decide what is a minor amendment, what is a major amendment. Obviously, I rely on my staff. I have numerous conversations every day with a lot of my staff, and some of this stuff comes up. And when we are deciding if it's a minor or major, we take a lot of things into consideration. But one thing that is always in the forefront when I'm considering these is what was approved and what did the department tell a planning board and what did the department tell a city council? What did we tell them and show them what would be built? And if any project deviates too much from those approved plans, I respect the relationship that my department has with you folks on the planning board and my department's relationship with the city council to draw a line in the sand. Because what I don't want to happen, what can't happen, is for something to be built so far out of line with what was approved and staff making an administrative decision that it's okay. There's a line in the sand somewhere where I'm not comfortable doing a minor amendment because I respect the relationships that we've built over the years. That's why it's a major.
Fair enough. Thank you.
You take the neighborhood into consideration.
All right.
If I was in Regency,
We're not on record anymore, Donnie, at this point. So Eric, what's your recommendation?
Make sure. Staff recommends denial.
Okay, thank you. Do I have a motion? Needs to go either way. Did you make a motion? Thank you, Chris.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert?
Yes.
Morris?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Denial approved, 5-0.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our agenda items. I now need a motion to approve the minutes from the May 6th pre-meeting and regular meeting.
A motion to approve the pre-minutes and regular meeting minutes for the May meeting.
Second. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Kathy, please record the vote.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved, 5-0.
Okay, do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
We have a motion and a second. Kathy, record the vote, please.
Rupert? Morris?
Yes.
Sotolongo?
Yes.
Sullivan?
Yes.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Approved, 5-0.
We're adjourned. Thank you.